T20 Blaze action. This is round number 4, match number 2 of the day. It's the Leeward Islands taking on Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas. Both sides in the hunt for points. They're 5th and 6th on the table. Leeward Islands, well, yet to get off the mark yet in terms of points, but you could see the difference in terms of how they came out and played their cricket in the last match versus Guyana. They'll be hoping that they continue and build on that. I remember having a conversation with the skipper Saneldo Willett at the toss in the last match, and she said that they had a was there, and the girls are really looking forward to being out here on the park. Let's see if it carries into today. Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas, well, it was the best of batting performances from them in the last match. They'll be hoping to turn that around. It was the Leeward Islands that they played against. Here today, though, it's a new day, a fresh day of cricket. The surface out there, where we saw some runs being scored on it, they would have gotten the better of Jamaica, and that game had scores in excess of 100 with both sides. So we're expecting maybe something similar here today. And the only way to find out how it will go, we got to start with the toss. Let's head over to that now. Glorious sunshine here at Warner Park. It is round number 4, match number 2 of round number 4. Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas taking on the Leeward Islands. Saneldo Willett and Anissa Mohammed, the captains. Mr. Stuart Rollins, he's the match referee for today. Ladies, it's time to toss. Tails is the call. And it is a tail, so Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas, they've won the toss. And they're going to have a bowl first. Now, Anissa, I know you're coming off of a loss in the last one. What was the conversation for the ladies ahead of this one?
I think we want to finish on a high. We did not play our best cricket on the last game, and we have two matches left. And we want to come out here and just play our best cricket.
Already know, Saneldo, coming to you, lost the toss. How do you feel about having to bat first here?
Well, having won the toss, the decision would have been to bat also, so we got what we wanted, basically.
Now, the last time we spoke, you mentioned that it was a bit of a team talk for you guys. You can actually see the difference out there in the field. What then is the conversation ahead of this match here now today against Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, most time the conversation is to just execute everything we would have learned during practice, and once the execution goes well, I'm confident that we can be victorious.
Well, ladies, have some fun in the sun. Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas, they've won the toss, and they're going to have a bowl first.
Campbell, who was 50 not out. Selena White getting 2 for 11, but it's the Leewards now taking on the Trinidad and Tobago team. And of course, Trinidad and Tobago won the toss, inserted Leewards. We do have the teams that are playing, and I'm joined by Noel McCall. Perhaps, Noel, you could give listeners a rundown of the teams.
Yes, and for the Leeward Islands, it's Willett, Amanda Edwards, Terrace Parker, Genesee Richards, and we have Sau, who is bowling to Clark, and she's missing that one. And Moses, Roselle Leeward, Melissa Clark, Kimberly Anthony, Tonya Martin, Jazara Claxton, and Divya Saxena. That's the Leeward Island team. And Leeward Islands looking to get their first run, but no chance of it.
Yes, actually, the bowler from the media center in starting for Trinidad and Tobago, it's Ram Harak. She is bowling right arm off spin. And Leewards, of course, as you rightly said, starting with Clark and Kimberly Anthony. This one pushed into the offside, but she can't score. But good decision, you think, for TNT to insert the Leewards. Leewards was been floundering at the bottom in both sections of the tournament.
Well, Leewards, the Trinidad team, for me, has a very good bowling lineup. They are very measly with their spin bowling. They give nothing away. They're very professional in the field generally, and the Leewards haven't done excellent or well with their batting. They have been in some tough situations at times, losing wickets early.
Amarak beating the blade of Clark outside the off stump. Of course, team for Trinidad and Tobago, the field placing pretty much in run saving position. There's, of course, the captain Anisa Mohammed at slip. This is a powerfully struck shot here by Clark for 4 over mid-on and down to the long on boundary for 4. That's a good shot. So she gets off the mark with that 4.
Well, taking advantage of the field placing, Trinidad boasting most of the players inside the 30-yard circle with just one player outside. That was the deep mid-wicket. And that one was, in essence, tossed up to Clark, who just basically lifted it over the infield and took advantage and got 4 runs, and which is what they can do in the early power play overs. The Trinidad team are taking the chance to squeeze the Leewards very early, one player outside again, and it's just the deep mid-wicket.
It's a double dose of spin for the Leeward Islands. The captain, Anisa Mohammed, picks up the attack from the far end. So she has Brittany Cooper at slip. There's a backward point, cover, extra cover, mid-off, all within the 30-yard circle, and just mid-wicket on the boundary. And he's just ugly-looking swipe there by Anthony, and she's bowled all over the place. First delivery from Anisa Mohammed, tossed up, and there was an ugly and wild-looking swing there from Anthony, and she's on her way, bowled for a golden duck.
Well, I think this is the purpose that Trinidad and Tobago would have inserted the Leeward Islands, looking to hunt wickets early, get the indiscretion of the Leewards batters, who Anthony facing a first ball should have really looking to pick the pace of the wicket, see what the bowler is doing, but she decided to go for a swipe over mid-wicket, and she missed, and she was bowled, and Anisa Mohammed is a wicket taker at all levels of the game.
Oh, yes, certainly. And Trinidad, of course, starting with Ram Harak from the media center, and she's bowling right arm off spin, and the captain from the fine, Anisa Mohammed, bowling right arm off spin. Of course, Anissa Mohammed would have taken some time out from the game, from international cricket for a while, but she's back playing this tournament, so I suspect that she might be up for selection for the West Indies team in the near future. Saxena drives well up to extra cover. It is Saxena. Just had some correction here. I keep saying 30-yard circle, but of course for the female it's a 25-yard circle. And of course there's some slight changes for the female game. Turned into the onside. Saxena is looking for a first run. She can't score as Ramarak is quickly around to right to field. And of course Noval, the ball used for female cricket is just about 5 ounces as opposed to 5.5 ounces or 5 3/4 ounces used in the male game, and the boundaries of course being drawn in a bit shorter than those used for the male game.
Yes, different for the women, and we would understand reasons why, the difference in the setup. But that's one hit over long on, and that will be 4.
Yeah, that's a good shot from Saxena. Wideish long off, more or less into a straightish mid-wicket position into the vacant area, and picking up a good 4. So we have seen 2 boundaries in each over of the final delivery of each over. And Leewards 8 for 1, with Anthony going for no score. And certainly the weather has kept good today. It has been brilliant. Sunshine. The southeastern corner earlier on, we would have seen some heavy clouds, but nothing really threatened Warner Park. And Ramharak will continue. But just to tell listeners that TNT won the toss and opted to insert the Leewards.
Another good shot.
Down towards third man. They should get at least 2, Clark. So, well, he was starting rather positively, though.
They are, and they have shown their intentions. Maybe Anthony's shot might have been instructions, but they have taken the chance to go over the top of the spinners, which is fear in this time of the game when the power play overs are in. And if they are to continue playing that way this early, I think they could benefit, because they do get those deliveries from the spinners that are flighted up. And if they want to be enterprising, they can go over the top and pick up runs. But they also have to be very careful, because the Trinidad spinners are pretty much most times wicket to wicket.
Short,
but there's another good
shot. Played into the extra cover region for 4. This was short, and Clark was onto the back foot and slammed it between the mid-off fielder and extra cover and down to the boundary for 4. A very good shot.
Yes, capitalizing on a shortish delivery. She got the width and she hit within the gap quite powerfully, and she picked up 4 runs. And Leeward Islands would want to, again, make sure that they're capitalizing on bad deliveries, because the game so far for Trinidad, they normally can be very tight. So whenever you get them, you take them.
Ramarak once more. This time she defends. Umpires in this game, of course. Jonathan Blaze, who is at the non-strikers, and at the moment he's presiding, and that square leg is Ramwari. This one is in the air and straight to Leanne Kirby at mid-off. She takes the catch quite easily, just back pedaling slightly, and the Leewards lose their second wicket. It's Melissa Clark who goes caught Leanne Kirby and bowled Ramharak for 10.
Yes, and it brings me back to my earlier point. If it's instructions from the Leeward Islands camp, to try and take chances early on to hit over the top of the infield. And there was Clark perishing trying to go over mid-off, but only to the safe hands of Kirby and bring about the downfall of the second wicket, and we're just in the third over.
I don't think the idea was a bad one in terms of the shot. She probably got it a bit high up on the bat and sort of mistimed it. And I think the idea was the correct idea to go over mid-off, but she failed to do so. And Kirby just had to move back slightly, ever so slightly, and she took an easy catch.
Yes, she was right on the edge of the circle, but I don't think Clark got under the delivery enough. And again, the Trinidad team, not even though there had been a couple of early boundaries, they're not pushing back the field. They're maintaining those feelers in the inner ring, one feeler out, and that's the deep mid-wicket. Everybody else, I would suggest they're saving one.
Of course, they are allowed 2 fielders outside the circle at this stage. But here is Edwards driving into the mid-wicket region for a single, and she gets off the mark immediately. So we have had 3 overs completed. The scoring rate is good, 15 from 3. They're going at 5 runs per over, but they've lost 2 wickets.
I think Trinidad would be satisfied that they're picking up wickets at, I would say at this stage, regular intervals. At the same time, the Leeward Island batters have been cashing in on deliveries that are bad or playing good shots, but I think Clark may have gotten carried away trying to hit over mid-off, and she perished. And bringing a new batter to the crease in Edwards, who is going to be facing up to Mohammed. And the field really, it's a slip, backward point, cover, extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, short mid-wicket, deep mid-wicket, and a short backward square. A high percentage of the fielders would be on the offside, Smitten.
Yes, Leewards, of course, in their last match against Guyana, they started at a good rate. In fact, for most parts, as this one goes past the edge outside the off stump, they certainly started at a good rate. That for most parts, in the power play overs, they were going at just over 5 runs per over. But then, after the power play, they certainly lost momentum, and they managed just to get some 93 runs for 6 wickets of the 20 overs. Here they've started well again. Going at 5 runs per over. It has certainly dropped a bit now. In this over, it's gone below 4 runs per over. So they would have started at a good rate, but they have not been able to maintain that momentum throughout. Defended again by the batter there, that's Amanda Edwards. And she is on 1. And she's whipping this one out towards wideish long on, could get 4. And does so now as it beats the fielder there into the long on boundary. And it's 4 more to the score. So a good shot. That fielder, of course, being Leon Kirby. Kirby has to move from mid-off. In fact, the second fielder is now outside the 25-yard circle. And that's Kirby, stationed on the long on boundary.
Yes, I think they have picked up some 12 runs hitting to long on, Leeward Islands that is, and hitting over long on or through the long on region. So the captain wisely pushing back the mid-on to mid-off to long on, and that the scoring shot affected a change in the field placing. But one of the things to note about Edwards, she does use quite a bit of deliveries in scoring her runs, and Trinidad I'm certain would have noted that, and you might just see them employing this strategy of keeping her on strike and trying to squeeze as much as possible, bowling lots of deliveries to her.
Oh yes, what you rightly said it. She seems to have a strike rate in the region of 60, and this one is taken on the pad, and the peel goes up. Umpire Jonathan Blades remains unmoved, and TNT continuing with Ram Harak. She's in the third over. She has picked up 1 for 11. Driven nicely. In fact, 4 runs. Goes to the right of Brittany Cooper, who's stationed at long on, and down to the boundary for 4. That's a good shot there by Saxena.
Another good shot, but you recognize another 4 coming through the long on region. And of the 23 runs that they have scored, they have scored some 16 or so to the long on region. And that definitely would affect, we'll see if it affects a change in the field, and yes it does. The fielder is being pushed back, and the Leeward Islands profiting in that area.
Yes, so long on back on the boundary, mid-wicket back on the boundary. Saxena, who is aggressive by nature, nice drive. Oh, this could be suicidal. The return goes down to the keeper's end. But in the end, Edwards got home. There was some hesitation. It was driven powerfully down to Kirby, who is at mid-off. And there was a stop-start situation by the two batters. In the end, they got through quite safely as the return, not a very strong one to the keeper. And Edwards got home quite easily in the end. But certainly some hesitation there by the two batters, and could have been the undoing of perhaps Edwards. She's pushed down to long on, and this time they threw for an easy single. And 1 more to the score, so 25 for 2.
Yeah.
We're in over number 5, so Leeward certainly making some progress.
They're making progress. They have been scoring in boundaries. They need to start thinking about to continue to keep the scoreboard ticking and rotating the strike and picking up singles, and they seem to starting to do that in this over, and they get another very quick single, and that's the whole idea. You get bad balls, you put them away. If you rotate the strike, pick up singles, you keep the scoreboard ticking, you keep your run rate good. And that brings about the end of over number 5. It's 26 for 2. Leeward Islands batting, Trinidad and Tobago winning the toss, and inserting the Leeward Islands. Amanda Edwards is on 9 and Saxena is on 10. And we see where the Leeward Islands will continue to build on this, and that there has been a bowling change effected coming into the attack for the Trinidad.
Kirby comes into the attack, and there's also going to be a change from my end. Troy Mills comes into the lineup.
Right hand.
Yes, a very brilliant day for cricket. It's been very warm on the outside. I was on the playing area, and it's pretty warm. Not much breeze being blowing here this afternoon in Warner Park. And Kirby is bowling her first delivery that's clipped to backward square. There is no run. And for Kirby's over, Troy, we see the mid-on going back to long on, where Leeward Islands have benefited from a high percentage of their runs in this inning so far. And Trinidad would want to try to stem the flow of runs in that area.
Indeed, good afternoon, McCall, and all the viewers and listeners. A bad piece of fielding there by the skipper, Mohammed. What probably wouldn't have been one in the worst case allowed to slip away and go to the boundary. Another 4.
Yes, this one to the cover area though. Ball we would call a short of a length ball punched out into extra cover, and Mohammed just not getting a body behind it, and he ran away for 4. Runs that Trinidad don't want to give away and build the confidence of the Leeward Islands team.
Indeed.
White ball.
The first wide of the match. And the Trinidadians, some credit should be given to them because wides have been something we've seen plaguing the teams throughout the competition.
Yes, discipline in that area has teams have struggled with the wides, the extras, and they play a big part of the scores in this tournament.
Oh, and that was a lovely effort there by Cooper, it is. Trying to pluck that one out of the ear. Diving goalkeeper style to her right. Knocking it down, but a beautiful chance, not keeping it. And the batters go through for a single McCall.
A good effort. Another cross-batted shot through the onside, and Cooper would have, I would say, put it down. It wasn't an easy chance, but the effort for me was good. And Kirby bowling to Edwards now. The Edwards, as I would have alluded to earlier, Troy, does use a high percentage of deliveries to get her runs, and for me, one of the reasons is her lack of foot movement, so she kind of waits for the deliveries in her zone to score.
In T20, you don't really have a lot of time, a lot of room, and the comfort for that.
And there she is throwing the bat at that one outside the off stump, running away to the third man boundary for 4. That one was short, it was wide, and I think he got the treatment it deserved, Troy.
Indeed, she has struck 2 boundaries so far, 7 for the Leeward Islands. And 7 boundaries in 6 overs, that's good going at for the time being.
Yeah, it's 36, it is for 2. We're in over number 6, and it's really good going for me for the Leeward. And I think this is where they would want to start thinking the game, Troy. Do we continue going? Do we start getting singles? How do we approach it? And that's another 4. Another one crashed to extra cover for 4. And is it commentator's curse? I was saying that she's using so many deliveries in previous games. And here is Edwards just proving me wrong.
And that's a positive course, as it is. Positive for the Leeward Islanders. And you're correct, Kirby throughout has been taking quite a bit of balls, slow to get off the mark, slow to get out the blocks. But at the end of the day, is what you do in the middle part and the end part. And so far, 14 from 12 balls, she's proving us wrong.
Yes, I think she cashed in on two balls there that were not the best, and she put them away beautifully for 4. And we are having a change in the bowling attack from the media center end. Just gonna confirm that for you, who the player is. And that's number 99, Jazz Mitchell. Jazz Mitchell, and she looks like she'll be bowling some medium pacers, Troy. This is the first I'm seeing of this player.
Perhaps she has been injured, I'm not certain. The last game we saw her warming up, doing some practicing, some bowling, while the Trinidadians were coming out. Were preparing to come out.
Yes, and she aborts her run there, wanting to make sure she gets it right. And the power play is over, and we could let you know that there are some boundary riders now. The long on is out, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square, and a deep cover. So we have 4 fielders on the boundary now because of the pace at which the Leeward Islanders are scoring. We've seen, Troy, that Trinidad has kept the fielders in the in-wing sometimes close to even over number 10 because the bowling's been so disciplined. But I think the aggressive stroke play of the Leeward Islanders have brought about this change in the field so early.
I have a philosophy: if something is working for you, don't change it. So even if the power play, you have a tight net within the circle. After the power play has ended, keep that tight net and see how it works rather than spreading the field.
Well, I think that's because of the score. We are 41 for 2 in the 7th over. And here is Mitchell. This one hit over mid-off. Will it go for 6? It drops probably 1 bounce for 4. And a very good shot there by Amanda Edwards.
Amanda, perhaps she has been getting some, I don't know what to call it, but her approach has been completely different. 18 from 13 balls, and she has struck some 4 boundaries so far. And I think there has been a change in the Leewards team overall from the last match. The way they approached the last match, and again, the way they're approaching this. A current run rate of 7.11. I think arguably perhaps the highest run rate they've had throughout this tournament.
Yes, they're scoring pretty quickly. Their approach is different, and I don't think it's risky play. They have just been capitalizing on field placement and so forth. Would there have been a mischance there by Boyce? That one, Amanda was driving. I think her foot came off the crease, but Boyce didn't collect cleanly, and she's going to still be there. Bearing in mind, Boyce is keeping up to a medium pacer as well. And I think the bounce of the delivery is what undid Boyce just now.
Indeed, coming through a little quicker to her, but that would have been interesting for the umpire.
Good take this time by Boyce. The score is 45 for 2 in 6.4 overs. Leeward Islands are the ones batting, and I think they're making really good progress in this inning. 18 is Amanda Edwards, and Saxena 16. And another field change, Troy, the mid-off that was up in this over, has now gone back to long on. And another easy single had just pushing it off into the onside. And I was making the point earlier, Troy, that with the scoring rate, the batters can now start thinking about pushing the ball around for a few overs and basically not take risks and wait for the bad deliveries.
Indeed. And one of the things we haven't seen in the last match, and we haven't seen so far, is really any mix-up with the running. There seems to be better communication.
Right. One of the things we were talking about, I think that should have been an easy single, though, Troy.
Indeed. Overly cautious on that occasion.
Yes. We had a conversation on Sunday about the running for the Leewards, and we thought at times that they didn't turn ones into twos and twos into threes. They sometimes manage to stroll one where they could have even been potentially 3 runs. So I don't know if it's overcautious. I wouldn't say they're good runners, but they have so far been doing well in this inning.
Definitely they have better running, better communication, and we've seen quite a bit of it. The non-striker ball watching. One of our commentating colleagues would have said teams have been turning 3s into 1s.
Yes.
And
yes.
I agreed with that. And they have to be much positive. You have to trust your partner. Yes, no, wait, however you do it. But clearer communication, loud, and very positive running. And we have seen that so far. Is this going to be Ramnath?
Yes, it's Ramnath off spin. The ball into Edwards and getting that one right on the spot, and she will be looking to curtail the run rate of the Leeward Islands. That's pretty much up there at this time. It's 6.57. And that one coming back into Edwards. She's punching it out to extra cover. There's no run. The field for Ramnath is a backward point. Deep cover. Extra cover, long off, long on, mid-wicket short, deep mid-wicket short, backward square, short forward square and a short backward square. Is there going to be a mix-up here? She gets back safely, Saxena. And Troy, I guess, commentators curse again, speaking about they're running so well.
Exactly. And they've been doing well. And I don't think that would have been a single any day of the week, especially in T20s.
Ramnath, a little short outside the off stump, and I might dare say anything that's short outside of the off stump is well in Amanda Edwards' zone. If she's wanting to put more pressure on her, she may think about getting deliveries touch fuller.
Mohammed in that short is extra cover region. Yes, she had a misfield that probably should have prevented a single, but the ball went through to the boundary. Generally, she has been doing very good there. The ball being powerfully struck on most occasions, and she's preventing the single there.
That one beating the bat outside of the off stump. Yes, Anissa is, for me, a complete cricketer. She's good with the ball. She's generally good in the field. And I think she's one of the most strategic captains. She reads the game generally well. And she's always on top of things. And she's fairly good for me with the bat as well. She gets the job done. And I think that's all her experience coming to bear internationally, all the cricket that she's played, and she's bringing it into this tournament.
Very agile. She seems to be enjoying her cricket. A very pleasant personality out there in the field. And basically throughout the Trinidad camp, they're pleasant cricketers. It looks like they're really enjoying their cricket, as it's Jazz Mitchell to continue from the CA Paul Media Southwell end.
Oh yes, and that one's hit powerfully back past the bowler. Would it go down for 4? It's cut off by Kirby, and they turn for 2. A powerful return up to the keeper.
Definitely.
Good cricket.
Straight past the bowler. She's a tall young lady, Mitchell, but a little to her right and a little up. And the fielding, a good bit of fielding down there on the boundary to only restrict the batsman to 2, or preventing the ball from crossing the boundary, as a matter of fact.
It was a good bit of work on the boundary. And again, the Leewards looking so positive. Here's Mitchell, a short delivery to Saxena. She's tugging that one forward the square. The fielder from mid-wicket comes around. She feels they're looking for 2. A powerful return coming in, but she manages to get home. And there is the mix-up we were speaking about.
That should have really been 2, McCall.
Yes.
Perhaps the renowned commentators cursed. Because that should have been 2 runs.
I totally agree.
Deep out on the cover boundary.
That they should have been strolling to.
And that was Kirby running around for more a cover, deep mid-wicket, going more into a backward square. Alexander, that was. Kirbyana Alexander. So when I said Kirby, I was referring to the first name actually. But you're right, Kirbyana, because there's a Leon Kirby.
Yes, there's a Leon Kirby, and she's long off. Mitchell, let's see, he's driving his Saxena, taking the outer portion of the bat, and I'll be surprised if the fielder will be able to pull that in. She doesn't. It runs away for 4. And the Leeward Islands bringing up their 50 Troy here in over number 9.
Definitely an intelligent edge, educated edge, as some commentators would say. If they were a 4 slip, probably down straight down the throat of the 4 slip, but no 4 slip in place, and coming off the thick outside edge, racing away to the boundary, and the Leewards there racing on to 53 for 2 in 8.3 overs, scoring a run rate of 6.24 runs per over.
Troy, I'm going to jog your thoughts here. The decision to insert Leeward Islands, is it backfiring at this stage?
At this stage, perhaps yes, but we'll still have to wait and see. A lot of things can happen.
That's a good take by Boyce. Tumbling save down the leg side. That would have been 4 wides. And Mitchell, who I would say bowled a fairly decent delivery, took an outside edge and went for 4. And I think she's thinking to herself, let me get a bit straighter. And she got to straight and she was down the leg side. My thinking, I would have, as captain, I would say, hey, go right back there, let's see what happens.
Exactly.
And she's erring on the offside this time.
Overcorrecting.
And here comes the captain ever involved in the play. Mohammed having a word with Mitchell. And this is, I think, her first game in the T20s. So she would want that support from her captain.
She would want to pick up a wicket as well. And if I were Trinidad and Tobago, I would have won the toss and fielded as well.
Yes, based on how, and that one's pushed past extra cover, they go for 1. Kirby's quick off the boundary. And here we have Saxena looking to double up. And Amanda Edwards is not interested.
Definitely. And for the 2 reasons I would have fielded: 1, I have a very strong bowling attack, a lot of spin, and 2, the Leewards haven't really been doing that well with the bat either. So I would have said yes, I'm going to field first, and it's early days yet, so to speak.
Yeah, Leeward Islands have made their intentions clear, that they're looking to punish anything offline, anything that's bad, and it is the way to go. At 56 for 2 from 8.5 overs, they can really think about rotating the strike and look to pick up more boundaries on the back end. You have wickets in hand. You don't want any indiscretions at this time. You just want to keep the scoreboard ticking and put some pressure on Trinidad to make more fielding changes to your benefit. Troy, I don't know if you recognize Mitchell delivered that ball from behind the stumps. So he got to the batter a little early, taking an outside edge but running away for 4. My thing is that was good thinking on the behalf of the bowler, but for 8 runs going down to the third man region, again I'm saying it might bring about more fielding changes that would benefit the Leewards.
And there were a slip in place that would have been straight down the throat of the first slip, but that was not to be. And you're speaking about delivering from behind the crease. That is something Victor and Eddie and I have been speaking about. I don't recall seeing that have happened in either the CG 50 overs or the CG T-Blaze before, but that is always good thinking because the ball stays in the air a little longer and it entices the batter to play a little earlier because she will be expecting the ball to be here by this time, only to be playing and the ball isn't there yet.
Yes, that usually something employed a lot by spinners, but we see a medium pacer doing it, but here's Ramnath bowling to Edwards, who's just standing and pushing out to extra cover. The field for you, it's point, deep cover, short extra cover, long off, long on, short mid-wicket, deep backward square, short forward square, and a short backward square. There is Edwards chipping and hitting an inside edge, going down to short fine leg area where the backward square, cutting off that one, picking up one, Troy.
In terms of variation in bowling and bowling style, I've umpired with a bowler who, coming from 10 strides back, sometimes turns at 3 strides and deliver.
Yes, all those are little things bowlers employ to try and trick batsmen out. And here is Saxena just dabbing that one down to short third man, a good single.
I think the little smile that would have brought to your face, you're reminding yourself that you were the bowler. On a few occasions it worked. A few occasions the batsman, by the time the batter started, stopped tapping and looked up. The ball was on its way down, and the umpire would have had to come to the rescue and say dead ball.
I did that a couple of times. Sometimes it's so rough in bowling, you do anything to prize a wicket out, even to surprise them getting there before they're ready. But the umpires also have a job to do. Many a times they were up to my tricks and they would just stick their hand out and say, no, batter is not ready. You have to wait. But Ramnath getting to the top of her mark, ensuring that Edwards is ready. And bowling, and Edwards is just pushing that one up the track. The score is 62-4-2. And getting ready to make my departure. And the next voice you'll hear after the end of this delivery will be Earl Smithon.
And this one is played backward down to a short fine leg. No run being had. And some positivity for the Trinidad and Tobago team, all cutting back the run rate from 7.11 runs per over to 6.2. So they are having some success, notwithstanding runs are still coming for the Leewards.
Well, going at 6 runs per over, I don't know how much of a success that is, because it's still a good run rate there for the Leeward Islands after 10 overs. And what has been good, though, from the Leeward Islands is that they have not taken a backward step to Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago won the toss, and I suspect that they might be underestimating the Leeward Islands team. The Leeward Islands team, of course, has been in seller position throughout both legs of the tournament in the Super 50 and now in the T20 Blaze. And perhaps the Trinidad and Tobago team felt that, inserting the Leeward Islands, they would have bundled out the Leeward Islands quite easily. But to the credit of the Leeward Islands batters, they have responded well, and certainly they have put on 2 good partnerships Edwards on 25 and Saxena on 24. Edwards today, her strike rate certainly has been a lot better, and she's into the 90s in terms of her strike rate. Definitely,
We've been speaking about that. She, in previous matches, she's been taking a lot longer to get into gear, but there has seemed to have been some mentoring, some motivational speeches done with the team on a whole, because the approach has been quite different from the last game, quite positive, and we've seen it here in the batting. And I think at this stage, Trinidad and Tobago, one would not have expected so many runs on the board, and two would have expected to have a few more wickets in the bag.
Well, I'm not too sure if it has been quite different from the last game. The last game, when I looked at them, I think they would have played against Guyana. They showed some positive signs, and earlier on, they were looking to score runs. They were looking to keep the scoreboard moving along. But in the end, I think towards the end, they certainly tailed off quite a bit and managed just to get to some 96 runs, losing some 6 wickets. And you're going to see a bowling change from this end here. But just to get back to the Leeward Islands, certainly in the last game, they certainly made an attempt to get a good score. Today, they have managed to get to 62. It's early days yet, another 10 overs to go. But the question is, where do they go from here? How can they capitalize on such a good start? And that is left to be seen as we see a new bowler for Trinidad and Tobago coming into the attack. And that, of course, is the right-arm medium pacer, Alexander, Corbiana Alexander.
And she's been welcomed with a drive through the cover region, getting one, perhaps should have been 2 smitten, but only 1 run. So perhaps the confidence in running between these two batters not as high as it ought to be.
Well, perhaps not, but I think though generally the running between the wickets of the Leeward Islands batters has not been good, and one gets the impression too that these batters, they are not as fit as they would like. See some fielding changes being made. Third man is being put back on the boundary and cover sweeping in Sa. She has been brought inside the 25-yard circle. There's a mid-wicket back on the boundary and a long on. But here's a quick single though. As this one is worked into the onside by Edwards. But I think though, for the last couple of games, there certainly has been an attempt by the Leeward Islands to be positive and to move things on.
Definitely, and we've seen it in the last game, and we're seeing it here again. And it all goes well for them.
Well, I think you were asking, or Novel was asking earlier on, if one would think that things would have backfired on Trinidad. I would certainly think so at this stage, but certainly things could change, and in the end, it gets better for them. But I think, though, the Leeward Islands certainly has won the first half of this battle.
I agree with that, and Trinidad and Tobago, they will need to win this match in order to stay in the hunt for the championship. They've played 3 matches so far. They've won 1 and lost 2. So they'll need to get to 8 points by winning this game, winning their 3rd match, and hoping other things happen with other teams in other games. And this is aerially, it's going to be out. Yes, it's caught backward point. Just as we thought these two batters were cruising and in control, there is Kirby dropping one, forcing Amanda to go back, trying to drive that, coming off the edge, going to backward point it is. And Leewards, they have lost their 3rd wicket early.
Ball, in fact, being Alexander, who took that wicket. Kirby, of course, was feeling long off And it was in the air for some time at backward point, where the catch was taken. Catch, of course, taken by the Ginaba Joseph. She's the one who took that catch at backward point. So it was Alexander the bowler, the batter, Edwards, and it was Joseph, the catcher, Joseph, who took that catch. So Alexander picking up a first wicket. And this lets in number
Zara Claxton.
10 for the Leeward Islands. That's Zara Claxton.
West Indies on the 19 player, captain of the St. Kitts and Nevis on the 20 football team, member of the St. Kitts and Nevis track and field team.
So welcome wicket there for Trinidad and Tobago, as things seem to be getting a bit out of hand for them. 65 for 3. And certainly a good wicket to get at this point. But Saxena is there still. See changes being made to the field. Long off is being brought inside the 20-yard circle into that's Brittany Cooper, who is being brought into a mid-off position. Kirby, who is on the long-on boundary. And this is good captaincy by the captain, Anissa Mohammed. She's not allowing any free runs here to Claxton. She's tightening the noose a bit as Alexander goes in.
Claxton goes fishing outside the off stump. She hasn't had very good figures with the bat, and pushed up the order, asked to bat at the number 5 position, so a lot will depend on her. The most athletic easily within the Leeward Islands team, an athlete by nature.
Well, she's one of the youngest too, so one would expect that. Well, not I'm suggesting that the others are old. But here's a good shot down to backward square for a single or first run. Just turning it down to backward square for a single as Ram Hack was there to retrieve. But Trinidad and Tobago fighting back though. We have about 11 overs completed, and it's 66, but still a good scoring rate at this point for the Leeward Islands.
Indeed, dropping from 7.11 to 6. So the Trinidadians, they would want to see that trend continuing with the bowling. And any change a skipper makes and a wicket is had, that is always a very good change. 2-3 wickets now, Earl, could probably present a different image on this game.
Oh, yes, certainly. But what Leewards need to continue to do at this point is to rotate the strike, pick up singles. There are no easy singles to be had though, because the fielders are in run-saving position. There's a slip, a backward point, a cover, extra cover mid-off, run-saving strike. On the pad, the appeal goes up, might have been missing leg. And probably the thoughts of umpire Ramnawi at the far end. And just to continue the field placing on the onside, there's a short mid-wicket, a short backward square, and then there's a deep mid-wicket and a long one. This one is nicely played though by Claxton for a single.
It brings the Saxena, 26 from 21 balls, into strike. Left and right combination. Field changing. Lovely sunshine here at Warner Park. There were some dark clouds earlier this morning. And the nation was greeted with the unfortunate news of the passing of Mr. Earl Clark.
So one played to the captain there at short extra cover, Anissa Mohammed. No run. Not enough. asking for an adjustment in the field. Given some advice there by Brittany Cooper. He's at straightish mid-wicket. This is a good drive there by Saxena. Just for single up to straightish long on. So, 68 for 3.
Keep going, guys.
Leewards perhaps looking to get as far as 120 runs. And you were speaking of the possibilities in terms of who could win this tournament. As we look at the points table, of course, coming into this match, all teams would have played 3 matches. And we saw the Windwards out front by virtue of net run rate, and they, Guyana, Barbados and Jamaica, they all were wide signal there, not a run to the score. They were all out in front in terms of points, but the Leeward Islands just ahead in terms of net run rate. And now we have had the situation where Guyana won today, so they have gone ahead to 12 points. We're down to fine leg for single. So Guyana's gone ahead with 12 points. So the outcome of these 2 matches is still important. Trinidad and Tobago they just has 4 points, and of course, if they win here, they could probably move on to 8 points. So at this stage, it's kind of difficult for them to be in contention, but it all depends on what happens. Of course, we might have a scenario where our net run rate might determine the overall winner, because a couple of teams could end up on 12 points depending on the outcome of the other matches.
Indeed, Earl. And Guyana leading the pack now with 12 points with 1 match to go.
Matches, of course, left. Well, we have 1 match this evening. We have 1 match later this evening. Barbados comes up against the Leeward Islands, and that is a very critical match. You could probably describe it as a semi-final this evening between Barbados and the Leeward Islands. So a lot to play for both teams. She's well knocked down there at backward point, and the battles are through for a quick single. But a lot to play for Troy.
Definitely the competition, in my view, is still wide open. Guyana, by virtue of having won that game, they have 12 points, and a lot depends on what happens, not only in this game, but the next game as well. And teams will have everything to work for, everything to play for.
Yes, and of course Guyana, as most people are saying, now seems to be the most improved team. Their captain, Campbell, she picked up a half century today. She was not out. The previous match she scored 23 not out also. Hesitation here by the batters, but in the end the ball going past from Harak, and she was backed up in the onside by Brittany Cooper, and the batters were through for singles. But as I was saying, the Guyana team with the captain Campbell, Shemaine Campbell, really getting into better form. 23 not out in the last match and 50 not out today. So Guyana playing better cricket. This is a nice powerful drive knocked down there by Brittany Cooper, and the batters are quickly back for the second one. It could be close, but the return is a bit wayward and a bit weak, and they were through for 2 runs. But good aggressive cricket there by the Leeward Islands batters.
Definitely, we've been seeing some hesitation between these two. Quite a contrast in the running ability, and the communications will have to be a lot much better, and they'll have to trust their partner. Run, yes, no, wait, and we'll see. But the game coming up tonight, Barbados, Windward Islands. On Saturday, we have the Leeward Islands versus Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago versus Guyana, and Jamaica versus the Windward Islands.
One of the things, too, that has worked in favor of the Guyana team, too, is the fact that Sherry Ann Fraser, who I think is a critical part of the Guyanese team, she's back in the squad. I don't think she would have played any of the 50-over matches. Seems as though she was carrying some injury. But she's a very crucial member of that Guyana team. An all-rounder. She bats left, and she bowls right arm, medium pacers. Probably one of the quicker fast bowlers in the tournament. This one is stylishly afflicting to the onside by Claxton. Should get 2. This is good batting. So Lee was looking good. And I think that the fact that Sherry Ann Fraser is back in the Guyana team, it certainly would have given them some confidence. It would have strengthened not just their batting lineup. In fact, the first match she played, she did not bowl, but she has been bowling now. In fact, she picked up some 3 wickets today. But she did not have to bat because the 109 runs was knocked off with just the loss of 1 wicket. But certainly she would have strengthened the Guyana team quite considerably. So Guyana really in the hunt for this trophy.
Definitely, and they have been improving, and the improvements have brought a renewed confidence in them, and with a very strong spinning attack and very good batting. We've seen Gajnabi, I think it was, the vice captain, playing a good batting role today along with the skipper.
Oh yes, she was not out. I think she was not out on 30. She was not out on 37, and she certainly played a very good role there with the captain. But he's a wide and a run. But we cannot discount the Leeward Islands, though, although they are in seller position at this point. Certainly we have seen improvement, especially in their batting. At times they have run a bit hot and cold, but certainly they have showed some marked improvement, and this is shown by the score today. But what I've noticed, though, there's quite a bit of support for the Leeward Islands, and on Saturday in particular, there was quite a good crowd in the members' pavilion. We cannot really see it from here, but when I went onto the ground, there was quite a number of spectators in the players' pavilion.
Leewards, of course, the home team in this competition. And the Leewards camp itself encouraging the batters. Responding well, 78 for 3, scoring at a run rate of 5.85 runs per over, projected target of 117 runs.
Well, they continue at that rate, and they bat deep, they keep some wickets in hand. They could very well get to 120, 130.
Indeed.
This is a good shot, and with shots like these, they'll easily get there. That's a good shot from Zara Claxton. Swept down to the long leg boundary of 4.
And she advances her personal tally 12 from 13. Saxana, she's 29 from 25. And our colleague Victor Eddy, who would be glad to be hearing about these stats, because one of the things we've realized throughout, a lot of batters, their strike rate hasn't been really so positive.
Here she's sweeping again. Wonderful shot. 1 bounce, 4. That one came very close to going all the way. Wonderful shot indeed by Zara Claxton.
Indeed. and perhaps convincing the captain and the coach while it was a good decision to put her in at number 5.
Oh, yes, certainly. And that one was struck square of the wicket. And they dropped one bounce down into the boundary for 4. So very good shot indeed. And this is something I've been calling for. The captain, of course, has not been doing too well with the bat. She has had a number of small scores, a number of zeros, and has just managed one score 15, and that she got in the, this is nice batting here, turned into the onside gently by Jazara Claxton for a single. So this is good positive batting here, and Leeward's now 87 for 3.
An adjustment being made there, a fielder put backward square on the boundary and creating a little more gap inside, and very soft hands turning it around the corner. Very good, intelligent batting indeed.
She's on 17 from 15. So he was looking good. He is not another intelligent shot too for a single. Joseph had to move to left from a position at backward point into a short third man, but she could not prevent that run. So Lee was looking good, looking positive. They're scoring, they're getting runs. And in fact, they would have gotten some 12 runs from that over. So very productive over there for the Leeward Islands.
Definitely, Ramnat, she sees the end of her spell. 14 overs, 1 maiden, 18 runs. And she didn't pick up a wicket. Alexander, she's been replaced. She had 2 overs, 10 runs, 1 wicket. The skipper, Anisa Mohammed, she's bringing herself back into the attack. This time she's coming from the C.A. Paul Southwell Media Center end.
What Trinidad and Tobago need now is a wicket. They need to break this partnership. Things are getting a bit out of hand for them. And trying to do that, the field, we see there's a square leg, backward of square on the boundary, mid-wicket on the boundary, wide, long on. There's also a long off. And inside the 25-yard circle is a short backward square, short mid-wicket, extra cover on the backward point. So Anisa Mohammed looking for a wicket here, and they certainly do need one at this point.
23-run partnership so far between Claxton and Saxena.
Short swung away up to mid-wicket by Saxena. Just a single. So
Keep going,
89.
guys. Keep going, guys.
And Leeward's building well, and probably looking to get their best score today in the T20 Blaze. Probably get it up to 120, 130, and a score which could give them a fighting chance. We have seen Trinidad struggle before. I think they had one low score of 59 in the tournament so far, and certainly the Leeward Islands, a good score on the board. They could fancy their chances. In the air, but safe. And Brittany Cooper has to move to a right to retrieve, and a single to Claxton.
There we go, guys. There we go,
18 from 16 is Claxton.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys.
Saxena, 31 from 28. The partnership now worth 25 runs. The last wicket going at 65 when Edwards was caught. Joseph bowled Alexander for 26.
Yeah, so Trinidad and Tobago against the Windies, they were bowled out, driven nicely up to long off for a single. A score becomes from off the boundary. They were bowled out for 59 in 70.4 overs against the Leeward Islands.
And there's actually an overthrow, as it were. So they're getting 2 runs.
So the batting of TNT could be a bit vulnerable, and a good score here by the Leewards. They're already 92 for 3, and it's looked looks very much as though they're going to get a score in excess of 100. But no doubt they'll be looking to capitalize and get to 120, 130. Oh, this is wonderfully played by Saxena, but just for a single.
Back up!
As it's tied it up at mid-wicket.
Keep
And
going, Twinny.
so Leewards fighting. Alexander, the fielder at that
Come
time.
on,
He was
TRT.
really fighting, and I'm sure that Trinidad and Tobago might be a bit shell-shocked at this moment. They inserted Leewards, perhaps thinking that they might have bundled out the Leewards for a small score, but much to their surprise, it's not happening today.
That is a beautiful shot.
In fact, they are back for the second run, and certainly the running has been a lot more aggressive by the Leewards, especially between these two batters. So good cricket there by the Leewards.
Indeed, and Jazara, perhaps that was one of the instructions from her captain to pick up the running, try and get as many ones and twos as possible. Yes, complete different fitness in my view, Claxton and Saxena, but she has been responding well. 34 from 30 balls, and as easy as that, Claxton has printed on to 20 from 17 balls. And she's looking like a very competent number 5 batter.
Good bowler.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys.
Yes, and
I'll now make some way Earl for McCall.
it's good though that the Leewards it's good that they are showing signs of improvement as the tournament has progressed. Of course, we are coming towards the end of the tournament, but certainly what we have seen today from the Leeward Islands, it has been rather revealing and good for the female cricket in the Leeward Islands.
Yes, and one has to say that the approach has been positive from the get-go. The Leewards batters took advantage of the power play, hitting the ball over the top. They lost 2 wickets in their quest for runs early on, but we've seen some intelligent cricket as well. The running between the wicket, pushing into the gaps. But what the Trinidad and Tobago bowlers have benefited from has been some tight field placing, crunching batters in the inner ring, but the stroke play of the Leeward Islands have forced them to have boundary riders very early on, and they have kept playing their shots and kept getting boundaries throughout this innings.
Well, at the moment, there are 4 boundary riders. There's a square leg, there's a mid-wicket, there's a long on, and there's a long off, as Claxton is looking to turn gently into the onside. In fact, a widey signal, as Boyce, the keeper, does not take cleanly. So, 1 more to the score, 97 for 3.
Yes, 97 it is for 3, with Claxton on 20 and Saxena 35.
And one would expect that the Leewards at this point, as this one is a bit airborne by Claxton, but it drops well short of Brittany Cooper, who is at extra cover. What one would expect at this point, though, is that the Leewards would try to capitalize on the situation and try to up the tempo a bit and try and see which ones they could eke out of this situation. This one is stayed gently down to Alexander, who is at backward point, and she feels and there's no run, but Noval Leewards in a good position to really press on and really pick up the scoring rate.
Yes, in the last 5 overs, the 97 for 3, they can pick up the scoring rate. My question will be, based on their batting, do they have the persons on the back end to hit lusty blows or boundaries? It would depend heavily on the spear, or are there players in the back to come who can do more damage?
Well, the captain, who has not had a very good one in the tournament so far, Sinella Willett, she has the ability to hit boundaries. And she is an aggressive player, but she has had a poor run And this one is in the air. It could be safe. Yes, it is. Into the short mid-wicket position. It was in there for some time as Claxton attempted to turn it into the onside, perhaps getting a leading edge.
I think Claxton is getting a bit too cheeky. That's just a delivery to the strike down to long on for one. No need to try and get too square. The ball is not outside leg. Just try and clip it down for one and not get too cheeky. Just play with the full face where necessary and keep batting.
Oh, yes, certainly. And we're at a stage where they should be looking not just for cheeky runs, as you said, but playing with a straight bat and trying to penetrate the field and pick up as much runs as possible. But I think, though, the Leeward Islands, they need to continue to be positive here.
Yeah, they only got 3 runs from that over, and they don't want to lose momentum early and then forcing themselves to indiscretion. They just want to keep ticking the runs over. If no boundaries are coming, pick up the singles, pick up the ones, pick up the twos. Because what has obviously changed for me in the bowling of the spinners is the trajectory and the pace. They have gotten a lot flatter and a lot quicker to the air.
I think the Leeward Islands, they really need to go after the Trinidad bowling. Someone has to take a risk at this point for the Leeward Islands, and we have 2 set batters. Saxena, she has been the more proficient of the Leeward Islands batters, so perhaps she should be the one to go on the attack as Ram Hara comes back from the media center end.
There is Claxton looking to sweep one that's wide of the off stump and was even going further away. Didn't make contact, but showing the intent that you're speaking about.
Yes, but I'm not too sure if that was a good choice of shot, though. It was Ramarak, of course, is bowling right arm off spin to the left-handed Claxton, and she perhaps might have been thinking in terms of getting it through the offside. Here is she coming quietly forward, but Claxton cannot afford to go into a shell and just push the ball to fielders. She needs to try and rotate the strike at the stage and probably get Saxena on strike, and he's a tentative shot outside the off stump to a delivery which is not turning much, turning ever so slightly. You probably would have to put the microscope on that one to see it turning, and it was taken by the keeper.
3-dot ball so far. They're getting the first single of the over. The score moves on to 99. And I think that Trinidad has made some adjustment. As I said earlier, there's a difference in the pace and there's a difference in the trajectory. Not too many flighted deliveries and a lot flatter, quicker through the air. So the Leewards would have to find a different way to manufacture the runs.
I think, though, that ball was short enough for, that previous delivery was short enough for Claxton to have gotten it into the gap. But, you know, it was short, her eyes lit up, and she was hurriedly into the shot, not really timing it as she would have liked. But here's a good drive down to Kirby, who comes off the long off boundary, but just a single. So Trinidad and Tobago doing it well at this point.
Yes, they have managed. They are managing to curtail and pull back the run rate. We see some changes in the batting approach. I wouldn't have been watching from the start, but Saxena looks like when she's batting, she's standing outside leg even.
Ramarak once more. Claxton, well, my goodness. She's getting a single, but she certainly seems to be in a different frame of mind now. She is more intent on batting out the overs. One would get that impression, as opposed to advancing the scoreboard as quickly as possible.
That brings up the 100 for the Leewards. It's 101 for 3. Well, there's a lot of support here for the Leewards in the Players Pavilion and from the mound, and a lot of the shouting that I heard. One of the obvious instructions from the crowd would be to make sure you bat the overs out, Leewards. So I don't know if Claxton is falling prey to the the instructions from the crowd, but at the same time, she has her game to play, and she would also have team instructions on how to go about it. She's 23 from 26 deliveries. Saxena is 36 from 33. The score is 101. There are 18 legitimate deliveries left to be bowled.
Might have been some instructions sent out to the batters. One of the emergency fielders for the Leewards went out, and I'm sure they went out the message, and the message would be try and hit it out of the park with just another 2 overs and 5 deliveries left. We had 1 delivery so far in the over.
And I think Claxton missed out on that one to hit it out the park. It was short enough, and she just totally missed the delivery.
Yes, certainly. So hopefully we should see a difference in the approach. She's back, turning for a quick single down to short backward square. And singles are not going to do it at this point. I think they need boundaries at this point, not just singles.
Yes, they need to try and get boundaries. At the same time, maybe they're not confident in the rear guard players for the Leeward, but I think Parker would be a good player to be in right now. She's pretty aggressive as well.
Well, I mean, it's just a few deliveries left. 14 deliveries. And it's the point you're going in at 110 for 3. And you have 7 wickets at your disposal. That's not good cricket at all.
I'll see Saxena looking to get under that one, hitting it out to the square leg area. They're picking up 1. There's some intent there, Earl. I don't think they are getting deliveries to just hit away, so they'll have to find a way to get boundaries, manufacture the run somewhere, somehow, be a little more innovative. And in modern day cricket, we've seen the varying types of sweeps, the paddle sweep, the scoops, the Dilshan, the different things that batters try these days.
Yes, of course. This is better, much better, much better.
That one's out of the ground.
It has gone all the way. Lovely shot. 6 runs.
Just talk about manufacturing the run. She chipped at that one and she tugged it over to deep mid wicket for 6. Really good shot by Claxton. Yes, and you could hear the crowd.
They certainly have to go after the bowling at this stage. They should not die wondering. You know, they have wickets in hand, and I'm sure it's better for them to lose 9 wickets at this stage in an attempt to get another 20, 30 runs, as opposed to bat out the overs and you only get 5, 6 runs, 5, you know. So, a wonderful shot indeed by the youngster.
Yes, and she's backing away, looking to cut that one, not getting past Cooper at extra cover. And that brings up the end of the over. It's 109 for 3.
Well, if the happy hour has not started as yet for the Leeward Islands, I think it should start in this over.
Well, it's only 2 overs to go.
2 overs to go. So if it has not started as yet, it definitely should start in this over.
Yes, we're going to see what Saxena will be doing with Alexander. It looks like it'll be Alexander to bowl the penultimate over. 109 for 3. What will be the field placing that Anisa Mohammed implements for this over? There's a deep, there's third man, there's a point, a cover, extra cover, long off, long on.
3 minutes down.
There is a backward square. And Ram Harak, it looks like, who was having a chat with Alexander. She's going into short mid-wicket.
Yes, so in one saving position, as you rightly said, a third one, as we expect a lot to peel off the edge at this point of the innings. There's also cover sweeping, but what's the approach? And this is swung into the air. Cooper is on it, takes the catch, and Saxena is on the way. Caught by Brittany Cooper, coming off the long on boundary, off the bowling of Alexander, so Leewards lose their 4th wicket. But certainly the intention was good there from Saxena.
Yes, looking to hit over the top. I know you want to see batters going hard at the bowling. I think she's the set batter, and I'm one of those persons who also believes yes, go hard at it, but I want the players who are in to stay in because they will be seeing it better. My thing, if you could only get one, take the one, and if you could pick up boundaries later, pick them up. But we're going to have a new batter coming to the crease, and it appears to be Roselle Leeward. It will be Roselle Leeward taking the crease. It's 109 for 4 Leeward Islands, and Leeward will be the one who will be facing up to Alexander.
Yeah, so yes, of course you have to be selective, but at this point you know the batters do have to make an attempt to go after the bowling. They cannot just let the bowlers bowl to them with just a couple of deliveries left.
My thing I would say to Earl, with how quickly the Leewards can capitulate at times, maybe that is another reason for the approach by the set batters. They are the players who are better. We've not seen a lot of productivity from the Leeward batting, and I know you are thinking get as much as you can. What about if you just lose 5-6 wickets for 4 runs?
Well,
that's also a possibility with the way Leeward
know,
bat at time.
No point dying one to win. This is a good drive, powerfully struck, but just a single. I would go for Brooks at this point if I was the Leewards, you know, because you have to get a score which is going to be very competitive. Because I think a victory at this point would do the Leewards a lot more good than coming with coming not out with a few wickets in hand, and so they must make the effort at this stage to try and get as much runs as possible.
Based on the tournament so far, the total so far is already a good one, and they would just need to press home the initiative. Jazara being the set batter, she will have to do more to get at the bowling. My impressions of her, she's not a blaster of the ball, and she'll have to get the right deliveries to hit for 4.
But Nisa Mohammed has kept it tight though. She has placed the field as well, and they have been able to cut off boundaries. This is swept nicely, but she can't beat backward square.
Don't get too straight. Don't get too straight.
It's well fielded there.
And that's the shot that Jazara will have to produce boundaries from. As there's no one at deep mid-wicket, and there's no one at deep backward square. So anything getting past those leg side feelers could be boundaries.
Yes, a very good option indeed. And she, as you say, she has to take the initiative at this point. Oh, and she
just
has
spoke
been
about
listening.
it.
She has been listening.
Just spoke about it. Anything past the leg side feelers, you're going to get runs because they're depending, Trinidad, that is Anissa, has been depending on her bowlers to get it right on the off stump. But the truth is length balls are going to go for 4. The option I would have suggested to Alexander would be full and wide. But it was a length ball, and Jazar capitalized well in the gap for 4. Leewards 114 for 4. Earl, how many you think they should be looking to get from these last 6 deliveries?
Well, probably another 16 runs. It might be asking a bit too much, but
yeah, they got 5 from this one, 16 from Anissa Mohammed.
A bit far-fetched, really.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know much about Leeward, but I think they would settle for me. I will settle for 7 to 10 runs.
So that's 120.
120 would be reasonable. So far in the tournament, that is a good score.
Yeah, so far, but one never knows. Certainly 120 would put some pressure on Trinidad and Tobago. But Anissa Mohammed with the final over, and she has long on, long off, mid-wicket and square leg,
What I look at is her pace here. See, she's very flat. She's very quick to the ear as well. You'll have to do well to get under those deliveries. All her experience coming to bear.
Oh, yeah, certainly. Leewards need a couple boundaries here, though.
Opting for a quick single. I think that was a well-run single, Earl. He was.
Oh, yes, the bowler herself is the one who retrieved that one. It was more or less played a bit between extra cover and cover sweeping on the boundary, just to the left of extra cover. And in fact, Anissa Mohammed got there first before the short extra cover. So a well-run single by these two.
Looking at the field placing, Jazara, who has scored a lot of runs on the onside, but there are two boundary riders, and the option, if you were to get past the infield, would be on the offside. But let's see how it goes.
She's whipping this one up to wide. It's long on there, looking for the second one. The return comes in, and good running by these two. Back for the second. Good aggressive running, looking for the second run. Of course, the long-off fielder in Joseph, she had to move quite a bit to her left to field, and they capitalized on the situation and picked up 2 runs.
Yes, there are boundary riders on the leg side, and I did mention about going offside, and that ball was pitched more off stump and Jazara hit to long on. But let's see if she's going to try and pierce the offside feed. This one is more leg stump. It's a big appeal, and she is adjudged LBW. That one looks quite adjacent to me, Earl.
Oh, yeah, certainly. It was pitched wicket to wicket. She was playing across the line. She missed it, and she's unaware. But a well-paid 36 there by Jazara Claxton. And as you said, the experience of Anissa Mohammed coming to bear here for the Trinidad and Tobago team. And keeping it tight, not giving much away. And she has picked up a wicket. But it's 117 now for 5, the Leewards. But
you could hear the crowd giving Jazara her due cheers. But Anissa is just a wicket taker. Knows how to go about it. She knows that the stage of the game, she needs to be wicket to wicket. She needs to be flatter. And knowing that Jazara is looking to score in the onside, she knows if Jazara miss and she hit, she would be in business. The captain for the Leewards, Willett, is at the crease and she's facing Mohammed.
Swings it over the top. She gets it over, yes. As Corby has to back pedal, and they're back for the second run. It was in the air for some time, but Corby was not the most, he's not one of the quicker fielders at the back pedal, and she wasn't able to get there to take the catch, and 2 runs taken.
119 for 5. Let's see how many they get off the last delivery.
That's a good hit.
Would they be looking for 2?
Yes, it should be. It's a long return, and 2 useful runs there for the Leewards, but in fact, 1 shot.
Oh.
1 shot, so just 1 run there to the Leewards. 1 shot signal there by umpire Ramnarari.
I'll get into the 120 that I proposed that they would be settling for off of this over. So it's 120. The Leeward Islands, they are able to amass for 5 from their 20. And how much of a good total is that going to be against a fairly good Trinidad side?
Well, a good Trinidad side that has faltered at times. And Trinidad against the Windward Islands. Now, granted that the Windward Islands bowling attack is much better than the Leeward Islands bowling attack. Trinidad was bundled out for 59. And certainly in the other matches against Barbados, Barbados made 80 for 6, a match which Trinidad won, scoring 82 for 5. And the other match Trinidad and Tobago would have played was against Jamaica. And Jamaica made 115 for 9 from their 20 overs, and Trinidad and Tobago lost that match. They only scored 109 for 9. So, but of course, we still have to take into consideration that these bowling attacks might be slightly better or much better in some cases than the Leeward Islands bowling attack.
Yes, one of the things that you would have alluded to in one of our commentary stints was that in the 50 over game, the Leewards only managed to pick up some 15 of the 50 wickets available in the 5 games, which would, say that they may not have too many wicket takers out there. The T20 game is a little different in the sense that you could apply pressure, and pressure could cause indiscretion from the batters, and 120 runs required. It's 120 balls. 120 balls to get those 122 runs. So we're starting even. We're starting at a run of a ball for Trinidad, and Leewards will just want to, as I would have said many a times when I played the game, you just want to join the dot balls up. Leewards would have to try and do that, find a way to put pressure on Trinidad, and see how best they could find a way to get a victory.
Yeah, so just to tell listeners that Leewards, they scored 120 for 5, and the Trinidad and Tobago team would require to make 121 if they are to win this match. And we'll be back shortly. We'll be back around 4:12 to bring you the start of the Trinidad and Tobago innings. So until then, we'll take a short break.
Welcome back to Warner Park, and we greet you with the news that the Leeward Islands are playing against Trinidad, and the Trinidad and Tobago team, won the toss, inserted the Leeward Islands, and they amassed 120 for 5 from their 20 overs. The batters of note will be Saxena, who scored 37 from 36, Edwards scored 26 from 31, Jazara Claxton scored 36 from 35, and Melissa Clark scored 10 from 11. They got 120 for 5. The bowlers, Harak was 4 overs, 21 runs, 1 wicket. Mitchell 4 overs, 21 runs, 2 wickets. Sari Mohammed. Kirby 1 over, 14 runs. Mitchell 2 overs, 20 runs. Ramnath 4 overs, 1 maiden, 18 runs, no wicket. Alexander 15 runs, 2 wickets. And Samu 2 overs, 11 runs. The batters have taken the crease. It will be Renis Boyce who will be facing up to the opening bowling for the Leewards, and I'm going to confirm that player for you. But the Trinidad and Tobago batting would have it all to do, and I think one of the ways they can go about it, Troy, who is joining me, and the opening batter for Trinidad is Sao. She's number 17, and as I was saying, the way that they would want to approach this, I think, will be to get a good start and not to lose early wickets.
Good afternoon, McCall, and welcome back.
And that would be a wide, and Leewards have begun by giving bonuses away. And the opening bowling will be Clark. Number 25 will be Melissa Clark opening the bowling for the Leeward Islands.
Needing quite a bit to score, but it doesn't mean that you could ill afford to give away runs.
Yes, Clark, who's taking the ball obviously away from the right-hand batter. She is getting some away movement, and one would suggest she may want to just take it a bit up. And the field placing is a slip, a gully, a third man, a deep point, extra cover, mid-off. And Boyce is steering that one out to cover for 1, where the fielder comes off the point boundary there, and there is a mid-off, mid-on, short mid-wicket, and short backward square. 2 fielders on the boundary. One is on deep third man, and one is on a point position. So Clark having her protection all try on the offside, and that would kind of suggest the line she's required to bowl.
White ball.
Definitely that one not according to her skipper's instructions, that being a wide, her second wide of the over, and the field change being made. We see Jazara Claxton being pushed from the backward point position out to the cover boundary.
Yes, and
Cheyenne Moses being brought into the backward point.
And there is Sao driving up to cover. They will have 1. Just turning the strike over early. And I'm wondering, though, if Leewards are doing the right thing by just gifting these early runs away. I was thinking that they would want to just crunch Trinidad a bit, force them to do things. But they are opting, and there is Boyce looking to pull that one. She did, but down to mid-on. So as the point I was making, Troy, is that Leeward would want to put more pressure on Trinidad, but not giving boundaries away. But the singles to me are too easily had. Those could have been cut off in short cover, but there's another wide. And this one very wide of the off stump, and taking the tally up to 5 already. No risk been taken by Trinidad.
Definitely, Novel, they would want to keep it tight. Force them, yes, we're into the first power play, you're allowed to have 2 fielders outside, but tighten the circle a bit.
Yes, there's Boyce driving up to extra cover. There's no run.
And you'd really want them to try and go over the top, and hoping that they'll miscue, take an edge, mistime the ball, bring about some indiscretion and pick up an early wicket or two.
Well, I think Leewards would need to. You don't want to get any batter set. Here's another ball down the leg side, and that's a wide. So we've had some 4 wides already in this over. Only 2 runs off the bat, and the score is 6.
6 without loss, and that leaves a runner ball for victory. 115 runs in 115 balls.
Yes, Leeward's not showing the right discipline to start. Clark, her direction has not been good, and it shows that 120 could not be such a insurmountable task for Trinidad if the Leewards are going to be that ill-disciplined.
It's the West Indies on the 19 player, Jazara Claxton. She'll be picking up the attack from the Paul Caleb Azariah Southwell Media Center end, or the northern end.
Middle, please.
That's middle.
Thank you.
A very good all-round athlete, cricketer.
Right arm over.
We've seen her with the bat. Perhaps a bowling all-rounder as opposed to a batting all-rounder novel. She's the captain of the St. Kitts and Nevis on the 20 football team, a member of the St. Kitts and Nevis track and field team, and she was a HEP athlete in the recently concluded Carifta Games in the Bahamas, I think it was.
Yes, a well-decorated athlete in all sports. There she is bowling a short ball which is pulled down to backward square for 4.
And rightfully so. And some may argue a loosener. Yes, you have 120 runs to play with, but at the same time in T20 cricket, there is not anything so-called as a loosener.
Well, my thinking is she has the new ball in hand. She would want to carry it up to the bat, give it a chance to swing or do anything that it might do to the ear and not fight the pace. I don't think she's quick enough to trouble anyone, hustle anyone really. And I think just needs to get a bit fuller. She should be booming with confidence to try after she played a pretty good inning. And that's the length that she would prefer to bowl, but it's well played again.
A little wide as well.
Yes, and Sao cashing in.
A lovely shot indeed.
Yes, she played a very good shot to that delivery.
Not hustling into the shot, well timed, playing it backward of square.
Yes, just behind point. And the third man...
Backward of point, pardon me.
Yes, and the third man was unable to cut off that.
Exactly.
So Jazara bleeding runs here early on. And Trinidad looking to assert themselves very early on this game. 120 is the target they're looking for. And Leeward Islands not coming out, try to me applying the pressure that they should, being accurate, being disciplined. The very first over was an ill-disciplined over, and Jazara erring both in length and line with her first 2 deliveries, and she has been punished.
16 years of age, and she has a lot to learn.
Yes, she's carrying this Leeward team pretty much on her shoulder at this time with her bowling. Would want to be tight, yet to bowl a dot ball. It's 15 without loss. So her 3 deliveries, both for first deliveries 2 deliveries went for 4, and that one going for 1. And she will be wanting to get things right for these last 3 deliveries, Troy.
It could be a complete different picture were she to pick up 1 or 2 wickets or even a hat-trick, as one of our colleague commentators says.
That one is short, and boys chopping over the top of cover. They go for 1, they turn for 2. Will it get into the boundary? It does. Boys getting her first boundary and the 3rd boundary in this over for Jazara. Not good going so far by the Leewards.
13 from 4, and perhaps she's trying too hard at the start. She just needs to find a good line, find a good length, and then work from there. And she's given out some instructions.
So the question will be, what is the good length that she should bowl? She's been short, she's been full. Well, I'll tell you, they say there's an in-between length that you should bowl, which is short of a good length, and I think she managed to get there just now. Your boys pushing that one out to backward point for no score.
I remember watching a test match a few years ago, and Courtney Ambrose was bowling. The analyst showed his first ball. They showed his second ball. And all 4 balls after that, they dropped between those 2 points. And that reminded me of a Western from way back when, the one of the arrow.
And there's boys looking to hit that one out too. Mid-on, and there is no run. Well, Curtly Ambrose was one bowler who was known for pinpoint accuracy. Not many in the game was as accurate as he was. And we are hoping that Jazara in time might come close to that, but it will take a lot of practice and a lot of hard work. We tell you that the score now after 2 overs, Trinidad hunting 120. They are already 19 without loss, with Saw on 10 and Boyce on 5. The batting so far has been good, and that has affected early bowling change for the Leeward Islands. The bowling was opened by Clark, and she went for some 4 wides and some, well, just 6 runs off the over, but the direction was not there, and this has brought about a change in the bowling, and Tonya Martin comes into the attack for the Leeward Islands, and it looks like it will be, well, it's medium pace, it might be still, and she will be bowling up to Sow, and she misses a run, and she would want to think about it and see if she could prize out a wicket, or just to bring some semblance of control to the Leeward Islands bowling. Here she is. She'll be bowling to Sow, and that one is wide of the off stump, and that will be the 5th wide of the inning for the Leeward in just some 2.1 overs. So it's not even 0.1.
Quite a contrast to what we would have seen from the Trinidadians when they were bowling, a little more disciplined.
Yes, and that one is outside the off stump, just on the trim lines. And she would want to just be a little bit closer, not giving any opportunity. The score is 20 without loss from 2.1 overs. Trinidad chasing down 120 for victory. Martin is bowling to Sow. That one is short. She's standing tall and guiding it past backward point. The fielder from third man comes around with some good footwork. She may have been playing for City this year, and she gives a good return in, and the field, the batters are able to get 2. Sow moves on her total, I think, to 12.
With that footwork, I actually thought she was from Manu.
Oh, wow. So here is Martin bowling to Sow. She's just defending, no close fielders in, so that's really a safe one. Nobody really cutting one. So truth is, Troy, based on the field placing we're seeing, I think there are opportunities, lots of opportunities for singles out there for Trinidad. They really don't need to take any risk. And the captain for Leewards would really want to start thinking about a field placing.
After 2 overs, the Leeward Islands were 8 runs for 1 wicket.
There is Boyce hustling a quick one. With the throw is a bit off, and I did say that they wouldn't be able to cut one off, and Boyce not being the fleet-footed player, but she made her mind up very early that that was an easy one.
After 2 overs, the Trinidad and Tobago, the Trinidadians, they were 19 without loss. Quite a contrast to where the Leeward Islands were.
Yeah, they have been scoring quickly. There's South driving, that's a better delivery. Missing outside the off stump. Martin bowling for the Leewards. Started with a wide, and there are some 4-5 runs off the over thus far. 24 without loss. Trinidad making a very positive start towards this 120. There is Sound, there's a mix up here, but nonetheless they're able to get home. That was not a run by any stretch of the imagination, but Boyce ran down on Sow. The calling wasn't good, but there was a fumble and they were able to get home.
A double fumble, as a matter of fact,
Double
novel.
fumble.
And they capitalized on that, and we can see Boyce saying, hey, that wasn't a single. You don't run up on me like that. We need clearer communication. But they've worked it out, and they're going to try again. 25 without loss at the end of 3 overs.
Yes, Trinidad motoring on at a run rate of 8.33 per the over. And another bowling change effected by the Leeward, and understandably so. Jazara not getting it right in her first over. Going for a bit too many. Looking to defend this total will be the Leewards. And the bowler appears to be Kimberly Anthony, who comes into the bowling attack, and she'll be bowling to Sau. The fuller delivery, she's driving outside the off stump and missing. And let's see if Anthony Choi would be able to stem the flow of runs for the Leewards.
In her last match, she was actually able to pick up a wicket within her first over, and her captain would be hoping that she'll be able to mirror that performance. Yes, they'll want to stem the runs, but they also want to pick up a few wickets.
Well, wickets are desperately needed indeed, Troy. I can very much agree with you. Fuller delivery, Sau is driving. They have made their mind up for a quick one, and there's a fumble, so it makes it even easier. The discipline in the field for the Leewards has been, I would say, non-existent.
The highest run rate the Leeward Islands would have been at would have been 7.11. And the Trinidadians, they need 95 from 103 balls.
Good going, and that's a full one. Struck out to deep middle wicket. Just always settling under it, and she takes a beautiful catch.
I did mention Anthony being a wicket taker in her first over.
Well, Boyce is usually a very aggressive batter, and getting a full toss that she thinks she should have put that outside of the ground, but she managed to put it just in the safe hands of Claxton. Leeward Islands making the breakthrough. Now Trinidad are now 26 for 1.
Running away around to her left and settling on it, taking it above waist height, very comfortably indeed.
A good catch.
Very good catch indeed. Just what the doctor ordered for the Leeward Islands.
Yes, it wasn't the, as some would say, the best delivery, but
bad balls to get wickets.
Well, bad balls do get wickets. I would have said in one previous broadcast that I sometimes used the full toss to good effect and picked up quite a few wickets with it, but I usually tried it to new batters whose feet may not have been moving well, and usually it was a low full toss, hoping you would hit it to extra cover in the air. You know, that tentative push, sometimes it helped, but this time Anthony would have used it and used it to good effect with a quick and good feel on the boundary. She was able to pick up the wicket of Boyce. This brings to the wicket Joseph, and it's 26 for 1.
We've been seeing Chedi Nation using it to that good effect as well for Jamaica. Not so successful, however.
Anthony is bowling a good length though, Troy. She's generally full. That one was even Yorker length. And so far, so good from Kimberly Anthony. It's 26 for 1, Trinidad chasing 120 for victory. Anthony picked up a wicket with her third delivery. She has had some 2-dot balls as well. And she's going about her business quite well here after there has been a flurry of runs in the first couple of overs. And she is bowling to Sau, who is chopping that one past the slip for 4.
Very fortuitous, so to speak. Some may argue a very educated or intelligent edge. Were there 4 slip in place, that would have been straight down the 4 slip short. We saw a few of those when the Leewards were batting, but no 4 slip. So at the end of the day, 4 runs, some may argue a very good shot.
Fortune favors the brave. So, Joseph, who just come into the wicket, picking up 4 runs. There's a short third man now. This one is another foolish length delivery, driving up to mid-wicket. Again, a little bit of a mix-up in the middle there between Sau and Joseph. The fielder cutting off, but no damage done. Brings about the end of over number 4. It's 30 for 1, Trinidad and Tobago, chasing 121 to win.
Current run rate, 7.5 runs per over. They need to score 5.69 or get 91 runs in 96 balls. At one point, they needed 115 in 115 balls, a run a ball. So they're a little below a run a ball now. But a lot of work still needs to be done.
Lots of work by both teams. The runs have been coming, for me, a bit too easy for the Trinidad and Tobago batters. And Leewards would want to try and build on that first wicket that they had in over number 4. Will that be happening? It's left to be seen. So is looking good as well. She's 15 from 11. There's been some changes happening here in the field. Leeward Islands, the field placing. There's a backward point, short cover, extra cover, mid-off, long on, short middle wicket, deep middle wicket, short backward square and a short fine leg, and there is South chopping to cover, and there is no run. So there are still a number of fielders in the ring. Oh, we have a change in bowling in Jennison Richards, and she's bowling some right arm off spin, and that one is beating Sow outside the off stump, who was looking to cut but missing. And Leeward is ringing the bowling changes, Troy. Nobody has been really able to settle into bowling attack as the runs have been coming. Kimberly Anthony, who had a good over, but so far they have to ring the changes.
Definitely. And some may argue that is a natural ploy. And dabbing that one down into the short third man region, picking up a single here. And perhaps it was not more by design. Melissa Clark, she had 1 over for 6 runs. Josiah Claxton, 1 over for 13 runs. Tanya Martin, 1 over for 6 runs. And Kimberly Anthony, she had 1 over 5 runs, picking up a prized wicket.
Yes, and Richards bowling now to Joseph, who is clipping that one into short mid-wicket and picking up a single. And the Trinidad and Tobago team now looking to rotate the strike after they have had a good start, probably saying, hey, we don't need to take any risks, we're going to work the ball around, put pressure on the Leewards and not give our wickets away. But Leewards will be thinking they need to prize one out. Richards bowling to Sow, who is looking to hit to mid-wicket. This could be a suicidal one. Oh, no, it's overthrows and could be running away for some 5 runs here, Troy. That really just needed to be a good throw to the keeper. And I think Joseph would have been found wanting.
Definitely. And had it struck, she would have been out in my view. But that wasn't the case, and the fielder who was backing up couldn't get around quick enough. And 5 runs being had to Saw.
Yes, the truth is, Troy, you have the keeper, you should use her and get the throw good. And I think it would have been a straightforward situation. But Trinidad profiting, it's 37 for 1. Richards continues to bowl that one, sit up to mid-wicket, cut off there by Edwards. And there is no run.
Not really under too much pressure, the Trinidadians. Bat sensibly, pick up their singles here and there. The bad balls will come, the wides will come. And we haven't seen any no balls, which perhaps is a very good thing so far. And I don't recall seeing any in the Leeward Islands innings as well. So very disciplined with the no balls, but need to tighten up in the discipline. All teams, I believe, in the wides, which has really been pushing out a lot.
Yes. And Kimberly Anthony will be continuing from the media center end. The score 137 for 1. Saw is on 21, and Joseph is on 5. Bowling is Anthony, short outside the off stump. Saw is cutting there. I'm not so sure what took place there in the field, but the ball got past the fielder at short third man for 4, and I'm hoping that she's okay.
Well, the fielder there is Saxena, and she should have knocked it down quite easily. Seemed as though she would have done some damage to her right foot, and probably somewhere around the ankle region, but certainly she should have prevented that boundary. It went past and went down to the boundary for 4, but the Leeward Islands, they certainly have looked very sloppy in the field so far, and they're paying for their sloppiness. It's now 41 for 1, and this has been a very good start by the Trinidad and Tobago team.
Very good response indeed. They are just defending out into the point region and picking up another easy run. There is no pressure on the ball from the Leewards. As you mentioned, they have been sloppy in the field. The bowling hasn't been tight or accurate, and they have been punished for it. And they would need to find a way to stem the flow of runs.
Yeah, now what I find to the T20 batters, they have been running them ragged. They've been taking some very quick singles and, you know, induced quite a number of indiscretions on the part of the Leeward Island fielders. But this is a good drive though. But straight to extra cover and no run. So Leewards not really capitalizing on what could be considered to be a good total in the circumstances, 120. And Trinidad and Tobago responding strongly.
Yes, they're showing that they are willing to fight this one down. Another good delivery by Anthony. And there is no run. Trinidad will continuing to press the Leewards, putting them under immense pressure. And 42 for 1 from 5.4 overs is an excellent start. 220.
Well, they're going at 7.4 runs over. And this is certainly excellent. And this could be another boundary as it's slashed down to the third man boundary, square third man for 4. Thereby Joseph probably taking the outer portion of the bat and running away for 4. So the pressure mounts on the Leeward Island fielders.
Yes, and the challenge here for the captain for the Leewards is where to put the protection. They have a deep cover and a deep middle wicket, but they have been bleeding runs down that third man area as well. They gets past point for 1. Will they turn for 2? No, they would not. So as I was saying, Earl, that the challenge would be, how does the Leeward captain find a way to place fielders that would cut the boundaries off? It will be, the bowlers haven't been disciplined on either side of the wicket, so where do you put that protection? Or maybe they're just waiting for the end of the power play, which comes now, and they could implement more fielders on the boundary.
Captain probably should be thinking more in terms of how do we pick up a wicket or 2 here and exert some pressure on the Trinidad and Tobago batters, because this has been a very strong reply to the 120 and the power play just ending. Of course, now they can place more fielders outside the inner ring and perhaps gives themselves a better chance to cut off the boundaries.
Well, I have not seen too many wicket-taking deliveries from the Leeward Islands during this bowling stint, and one would hope that they would want to tighten up a bit. Otherwise, I think this could be done very, very quick. It's 47 for 1 from 6.1 overs.
Yes, and the batters are looking set. They have just lost the wicket of Boyce. Joseph is on 10 and Shaw is well set on 26 from 17 deliveries. And Joseph now gets another run, 11 from 11. So Leeward's probably putting up their best showing so far in the T20 Blaze with the bat. But certainly in the field they have left a lot to be desired.
Yes, thus far not doing themselves any justice. Quite a number of wides. I'll confirm that in a bit. And just giving a bit too many boundary balls as well. But that one gets through Sau, and there is no run. Keeper didn't take cleanly, but a better delivery from Richards here.
Yes, a much better delivery. Leewards must remain positive though at this juncture. The Trinidad and Tobago batting could be a bit vulnerable at times, and a wicket or 2 here, they could find themselves very much back into the game.
Well, it will be hope for the Leeward Islands, but in cricket sometimes you have to make it happen, and the Leewards team are very flat. Not any chirping, nobody encouraging the bowling. So I think it's really going to be down to a batter giving it away because they're not really into this game as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you know what they need to do at this point. Edwards is doing the right thing at the moment. She's keeping it tight. They need to. Richard's the bowler from the far end. She's keeping it a bit tight. In the air, a wicket.
I did say that the batter will have to give it away. That was there to the batter could have done anything with that delivery, and she just managed to find the safe hands of the extra cover fielder. Seems like it would be the substitute fielder.
I think though we should give some credit to the bowler though. She has been very tight throughout the over, and she gave this one a bit more ear and induced a foul shot from the batter who has been pinned down for most of the over. So certainly the bowler must take a bit of credit, although it might not have been the best of deliveries.
Well, there you had it. Well, there were 1, 2, 3, 4 dot balls in the 3 dot balls before the wicket. So I guess that was the pressure that was exerted on Sao, who managed to chip it to extra cover. And Leewards picking up a second wicket in the 7th over. Trinidad a 48 for 2. And bringing to the wicket will be the number 35 batter. One of their better players, that is, will be Brittany Cooper.
Yes, Brittany Cooper, of course, who would have represented the West Indies team. And she has had a few runs in the tournament so far. I think she would have gotten into the 30s. I don't think she has picked up a half century as yet, but she is very experienced, and she has been playing this game for a very long time. So a good batter for Trinidad and Tobago to have to go into the crease at the moment. So it's Amanda Edwards who will pick up the attack from this end. And she has been one of the few bowlers for the Leewards who has managed to pick up wickets. So another wicket or two here would serve the Leewards' purpose well.
Listen, that's a good delivery, but I think she may have gotten some bat onto that.
Joseph probably guilty of going across, playing across the line too. But a good start here by Edwards.
It was a good delivery. What Edwards seems to be doing though is putting the ball pretty much wicket to wicket on a foolish length, which would basically ask batters, if you miss, I'm going to hit.
Yes, and much more of this is required by the Leeward Islands bowlers. They have been guilty of bowling too wide, too short, and not really attacking the stumps. This is good bowling. It's right on target, and Joseph has to defend. So Leewards looking to fight back at this point. They got a wicket in the previous over, and Edwards has started well. And now, as if to prove us wrong, she's bowling a poor delivery down the leg side.
Yes, she got that one wrong, but I think the length is still good and the pace is also good. She just needs to get that radar lined back up again and be a little more accurate. And there she is, right on spot.
Yes, and certainly apart from that one bad delivery, which she got away with.
Come on, you
just a
got
wide.
this, you got this.
Just giving away a wide, and just the one so far in the over.
Nothing.
And now she is forcing the batter to try something. It was shortish, and Joseph was into the wicket, but she certainly mistimed it.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if the shot was there, but she managed to fight it off into the mid-wicket region and picking up a single. Total now goes to 50. Trinidad bringing up the half century, 50 for 2 in 7.5 overs.
Yes, and going at 6.38 runs for over. But Leeward's looking to pull it back a bit here.
Nothing.
This is nicely stayed into the side by Cooper. Cooper a bit lethargic for that run. She was really just strolling home, I would say. And the throw came in, the stumps were broken, but in the end she realized that she could have been in danger. And she quickly grounded a bat.
Yes, a good over from Edwards, 3 runs off it, and pretty much very, I would say, accurate during that over, managing to put some pressure on the Trinidad, crunching the run rate down a bit. And what would need to happen would be need a series of good overs from the Leeward bowlers, not just from one end. Both ends would have to apply the pressure. If they are to start pricing out wickets as well, that would even put more pressure on Trinidad. But again, they will have to not hope, but have to do it. Put some pressure, put some work in, start to lift the energy in the field, and fight back.
Yes, and I do like what I'm seeing from these two bowlers, though, Richards and Edwards. But here's Richards going down the onside, and this is what they could ill afford at this point.
Yes, the discipline generally hasn't been good. Richards and Edwards have been a bit better, but they have been guilty of wides during the course of this inning.
Well, she's looking to tighten up to Cooper.
Nothing.
Driving up to mid-on for a quick single, but there we go again. The fielder slow off the mark, not picking up cleanly. That's McCoy, the emergency field. The on for Saxena. And the batters were able to go through for a single, but that's another example of poor fielding there by the Leeward Islands, not putting any pressure on the batters.
Yes, a bit sloppy so far. The Leewards have been throughout the inning not feeling cleanly. Lots of bubbles and misfields. Just not being tight, just not being tidy. And they're paying the price for it heavily.
There's a good drive straight to that field. Again, the ball traveling fairly quickly. And she fumbles. That's McCoy. And the batters were through for what I would describe in the end as an easy single, because it turned out to be quite easy for Joseph and Cooper.
Yeah, and Edwards
my goodness.
asking.
Looks very much like a stumping chance there. She was down the wicket looking to drive. Missed it completely. The keeper, Parker, missed it also. And it might have been runs, but probably she should have been run out. And that passed very close to the wicket keeper. Keeper not pulling it in.
Well, you mentioned very early in the stint that the Leewards had been sloppy, and it continues, and it's causing chances to go begging, run out chances perhaps sometimes, and in that case, well, it would have been run out, but the keeper could have done a better job in reining it in and effecting a run out.
Yes, certainly. In the end, she actually gave her a run.
And that's hit out to wide, long on. Would it go into the boundary? Yes, it done. It's just all timing by Cooper. She just put bat on it, hit it into the gap. The fielder, Anthony, out on the deep long on boundary, wasn't quick enough to cut it off. And Cooper picking up 4 easy runs.
Yes, and I think good use of the feet there by Cooper. It was tossed up. In fact, probably over-tossed there by the bowler Richards. And Cooper getting, in fact, taking it on the full and driving it out to the wideish, long and straightish mid-wicket region for 4. The ball traveling very quickly to the boundary. So Leewards losing the plot a bit at this point, 60 for 2.
Yes, they haven't been able to stem the flow of runs, and wickets will have to be the way to go. And they will have to find ways to prize wickets out. Joseph is on 14, Cooper on 7, looking to build a partnership between them, but they are already pretty much halfway there in terms of the runs, and still some 11 overs to go.
This one is wide. It's bowled down the onside. An umpire blade signal.
Step bowling, let me go, ladies!
And the one more to the score. So we have seen a number of wides. We have seen a number of misfields, and certainly this was my greatest fear for the Leeward Islands. This one takes on the pad, but obviously missing leg. I did mention at the start that it was a good score, but based on what we have seen from the Leeward Islands in the field, you know, one, was not too hopeful in terms of, and she's bold. She's bold. It was tossed up by Edwards. Right up in the block hole. It's spun back a bit and knocked back the center stump, and that's a good delivery. And this is what the Leewards need at this point.
Yes, it was almost a Yorker length delivery, right on target, and bowling Joseph all ends up. And Leewards really would have to get the discipline back, and this is what they require. Wickets. I do not think they have been bowling well to put pressure on Trinidad, but they have now been producing wicket-taking deliveries. Both Edwards and Richards have been a little more accurate, and they are now, I think, fighting back 61 for 3 in 9.2 overs. There's still some 60 runs to get from 64 deliveries, and this is where Leewards would want to, the captain would want to now start thinking about a field placing with a new batter coming to the crease.
Yes, certainly.
There is also a water break as well.
Water break due, of course, at the 10th over, but with the dismissal of that wicket, you had the umpires calling for the water break, but
a bit of information there, Earl. The bowling for the Leewards, they have now bowled some 8 wides so far in the inning. And those are runs that Trinidad did not have to fight for. And they would want not what I would call the second half of this game, as it's 61 for 3. They do not want to be giving away too many in extras going forward.
Well, 8 wides are 8 extra runs and also an extra over and 2 balls. Not good out cricket there by the Leeward Islands. Runs are precious at this stage. We have seen them give away a number of runs in the outfield, and they could ill afford to be giving away runs by bowling wides. So there's still a chance here for the Leewards. What they need to do at this juncture is to tighten up. They have managed to pick up a couple of wickets, which put things slightly back in their favor. Of course, 61 for 3 is still a very good score in the 10th over.
Well, I would say I will take the chance and say I think Trinidad are a bit in front, a little bit ahead in the game, and Leewards would need more wickets to assert themselves on the game.
Oh, yes, certainly, but we have seen that the Trinidad and Tobago batting could be a bit brittle. Of course, there's a new batter there, Samaru. She's a left-hander, and she's partnering Brittany Cooper. Captain Anisa Mohammed has been getting some runs in this tournament so far.
Yes, and she's yet to take the crease, but I think Edwards for the Leewards have been doing a tidy job. 1.3 overs for 4 runs, and she's had a wicket. And she would want to continue bowling as tight as possible during the course of this over.
Well, there we go again, another wide. And umpire Blades, umpire Jonathan Blades, his arms must be getting a bit tired now.
Yes, he's just ill discipline in the Leeward's approach to the game. They have not followed up a good batting performance with the bowling that they should. and Trinidad making no mistakes in taking advantage when they do. At the same time, they have managed to prize out 3 wickets, and if they are to really just be a little more disciplined and put some pressure, you never know what could happen.
Pushed into the offside by Samaru. So she's yet to get off the mark. So wicket taking over there for the Leewards. And probably we need to see a little bit more pep in this step. Probably they need to, in fact, we're going to see a bowling change from the fine. Looks like Leeward.
Let's go, ladies!
Well,
We'll also have a change here in the commentary.
There's a change of mind. Leeward was going to bowl. And in fact, they opted not to. And it seems as though Richards will continue from the fine. So, for one moment, we thought it was going to be Leeward. Then they opted to go back to Richards.
62 for 2, for 3 at the end of 10 overs. And the Trinidad and Tobago team, all they have to do is keep their wits about it. The Leeward Islands will need to take wickets.
Cooper is driving and missing, and the keeper is missing. And it's running out towards the boundary for what could be 4 runs. In fact, they're back for the second run. And by signal, but a bad mistake by the keeper. And this is what I've been speaking about, the sloppiness in the field. In probably in 2 consecutive overs, we have seen the keeper erring. So this is not good stuff from the Leeward Islands. Cooper is punching up to extra cover. Finds Leeward in the way, she feels. So the score has gone on to 64 for 3. And the count rate is 6.19 over pitch and an easy single. So Leeward Island batters not, Leeward Island fielders not really doing a good job out there today.
Not as tight as they need to be. Yes, 120. A decent score here by any means. But at the same time, you can't afford to be giving away runs. You can't afford to be giving away bonuses. You have to still keep it tight.
Jensen Edwards once more. This is a better delivery to Samaru. And Samaru is pushing into the offside. But she's yet to score. She's still on naught. Brittany Cooper is 8.
A run ball again is the target.
Well, look at this. There's Anthony just shadowing that one. I think she could have done a better job there. And it went past at mid-off and into the boundary for 4. She was just lumbering across from a position moving to her left. She's at mid-on. And the ball ran away. And I thought she could have gotten a lot closer to that one.
A greater effort indeed was needed. And you could ill afford to be giving away runs, never mind the boundary. It's very casual in the approach, if you ask me all.
Yes, very casual. And she just lumbered across quite slowly. And allowed it to go past and down to the boundary for 4. So Shalina Samaru off the mark with the boundary. She's driving down to long off. In fact, with that boundary, they had moved her from mid-off to long on, and they placed McCoy on the long off boundary. McCoy herself, who is there substituting for Saxena, she has had a few lapses in the field too. So the feeling of the Leeward Islands leaving a lot to be desired.
McCoy would have been introduced to the game with a catch. and she is the skipper of the St. Kitts team. On this occasion, she would have played in the 50s. I think she had 1 or 2 games as well in the T20 Blaze, which is being sponsored by CG United Insurance. And it's going to be Amanda Edwards to continue from the CA Paul Southwell Media Center end, 70 for 3. Run rate of 6.36 runs per over required. They're scoring at 51 in 54 balls. Easily gettable.
Well, easily gettable, but a wicket or 2 here could really spell a difference for TNT, but Edwards continues. She has been doing a good job so far, as this one is pushed up to mid-on for Anthony to field, but so far, if we look at her field, there's a square cover sweeping, there's a mid-wicket back on the boundary, long off, long on, and Samaru is beaten here, and no damage done. There's also inside the 25-yard circle, there's a short third man, backward point, extra cover. There's a mid-on and the short backward square. So Lee was really searching for another wicket at this point. This time she pushes it nicely up to cover for a single. Claxton is quickly off the boundary and sends a good, in fact, a strong return, and there we go again. Eluding Amanda Edwards, the bowler, not being backed up there by Anthony in the onside, and the ball running down towards the mid-wicket for an extra run. So Lee was really, the Leeward Island players, they're really shooting themselves in the feet.
Most correct. All they have to tighten up.
But this one is short and played into the onside. Should get at least 2. They're back for the second run, and it's now 74 for 3, and Samaru goes on to 9. But Samaru, who is the new batter, rather than having a pressure applied to her, they have been giving her easy runs, and she already appears to be a lot more relaxed at the crease as she settles.
She has had 8 dot balls so far. Make it 9 now.
Well, 9 dot balls, and she
Let's go finish
she
it.
had
Let's go,
scored 9
ladies.
from 12. Still not a bad strike rate. She's driving nicely. Gets it up to wideish long off. The captain, Willett, is fumbling, and quickly back for the second run. And one good thing about the Trinidad and Tobago batters, they are really looking for the second run. They are capitalizing on any errors in the field by the Leeward Islands, and Leeward Islands continue to look rather ragged in the field, and it's now 76 for 3.
Cooper, very vigilant, very watch aware, turning and perhaps having that expectancy, just in case there's a miss, I'll take off. That was the case, and she did that, and was able to pick up that extra run. So very good running.
Well, this is a major difference between the Leeward Island batters and the Trinidad and Tobago batters. The Leeward Island batters, we have seen them throughout the tournament not really looking to take that first one quickly, exerting pressure on the fielder. And sometimes when you do exert some pressure on the fielders, they tend to take their eyes off the ball and overrun the ball, and many times misfield, thus creating opportunities for an extra run or 2. But the Leeward Islands guilty of not really taking the first one quickly. But this time Leeward really comes into the attack, and she would be operating from the far end. See some changes in the field. First we had a wideish long off. The captain was coming into a backward square, short backward square inside the 25-yard circle, and she has now gone back to the backward square like position, and the long off has come up to mid off, but this one is punched up to cover, and Claxton comes from off the boundary and sends a return to the keeper's end. But lots of indecision out there by the Leeward Island fielders. Now we see the captain for the left-hander coming into backward point position. There's a short third man, cover sweeping, extra cover long off, mid-on, short mid-wicket, short backward square in the mid-wicket. In the air, but safe. To the right of that short backward square. And the batters were able to go through for a single. So it was airborne for a while, but pretty safe.
I think all they have loosened the noose, so to speak, Leewards.
Well, it's interesting that you say loosened. I wonder if they ever tightened it at any point, because I certainly didn't get the impression that they had tightened the noose at any point. The noose seemed to have been loose throughout. And certainly they have not really put the pressure on the Trinidad and Tobago batters. And to compound the whole issue, we have seen a lot of lapses in the field. And keeper, of course, being guilty. And we have seen some loose bowling also, as Leeward is looking to pry out a wicket at this point. Steered nicely down towards the third man boundary, and it goes past the boundary for well played for there by Brittany Cooper. So 4 more to the score. Cooper with that 4 will move on to 16. And the scoreboard has a 12, but I suspect she would have moved on to 16, but we'll wait for the adjustment on the scoreboard. So, in fact, the scoreboard is saying that she's on 12, and it's 82 for 3. But Cooper will face once more. Back and defending this time. And gets it back to the bowler. So the over comes to an end. Sowers dismissed for 26. Joseph for 14. And it's 82 for 3.
Easy going, easy pickings for the Trinidad and Tobago team. 39 runs from 42 balls. Not really under any pressure. 2-3 wickets will definitely change the image of this game. But they just need to bat, taking the singles. The wides and the bad balls may very well come. And at the same time, the Leeward Islands, they need to really tighten the fielding. And it seems as if there's going to be a bowling change, Earl.
Yes, it seems as though the captain is calling back Josiah Claxton to pick up the attack from the media center end. So Claxton, who had a good knock of 37, comes back into the attack. So he was searching for a wicket. And I think so far, though, the spinners seem to have been more effective than the medium pacers. But a wicket really needed here. And this one is banged into the offside, out towards the extra cover boundary for 4. Good shot. It was up in the black hole, and Samaru was hitting this in the air for some time, but well out of the reach of any fielder. And the ball raced away to the boundary for 4. So a good shot, 86 for 3. And the Samaru with that 4 has moved on to 16. But a good shot though.
Welcome back to your second spell, Jazawa. That's what Samaru has been saying with that 4.
And this one is outside the leg stump this time and through to the keeper, but umpire blade signal is wide. 1 more to the score.
And she will have to keep it tight, maintain a tight line and length. Perhaps a little anxious, perhaps a little excited, but she'll need to settle. She has a lot of responsibility, this 16-year-old, on her shoulder.
This time it's poor bit of feeling there, rather. In fact, they're looking for a second one, which was not on. In the end, they got you for the single quite easily, but it was played down to a short backward square. And it should have easily been cut off and allowing a run, but Cooper gets into strike now, so she's on 13, and Samaru has progressed to 17. So Leewards appearing to be going through the motions at this time. Now there's a bit of confusion. They were moving the fine leg into a third man position, then opted to put that player back into a fine leg position. Drive at outside the off stump. The keeper fumbles once more. This has been a poor display from the Leeward Islands.
Definitely, and the keeper herself, she has not been having the best of matches. Missing a stumping chance, a bye here. And they really need to get more positive, the Leeward Islands. 89 for 3 in 13.3 overs. Required run rate 4.92 runs and over. 32 runs in 39 balls.
Well, single into the mid-wicket region. In fact, they're quickly back for the second run. And this is good run in between Samaru and Cooper. And Samaru moves to 19. He would have already had one match earlier today. Guyana coming up against Jamaica. And Jamaica scoring 109 for 6 from their 20 overs. Stephanie Taylor getting 48. McLean 27. And Sherry-Ann Fraser getting 3 for 18. A single down to third man there to Samaru. She moves to 20. And Guyana replying strongly, getting 110 for 2 from 18 overs, with Gajna B getting 37 not out and Shemaine Campbell 50 not out. And Selena White getting 2 for 11. And defended here by Cooper. This one looks as though the Leewards is going to lose this one, so seems as though Trinidad and Tobago will pick up 2 points. Later on this evening, we have Barbados at 7 o'clock. Barbados coming up against the Windward Islands. And that should be a very interesting match. It certainly will have some bearing on the outcome of the tournament. It would have some bearing as to who might eventually win this tournament. And Barbados, I'm sure, will be looking to win this one to increase their chances, bearing in mind that the last match is against the Leeward Islands Saturday morning. Windwards, of course, will be looking to win to stay in the hunt for the trophy. So, rather interesting build-up there.
At this stage, I'll say this CG United Insurance T20 Blaze still a little open. And here is a wicket for Razel Leibert. Caught by Tinetta McCoy. Moving around from the mid-on region.
Well, at least the Leeward Islands, they've done something good for a change. It was driven powerfully just to the right of McCoy, who was at mid-on. And she moved rather smartly and swiftly to her right and plucked it from the air. Good catch in the end as the captain goes to the middle now. Anissa Mohammed, the captain for Trinidad and Tobago. So wicket out to here. Could spell some hope for the Leeward Islands.
I was just about to say, Earl, before that wicket, that Brittany Cooper, it looked like she was quite happy to play the supporting role and allow Samaru to take on the strike, because Brittany Cooper, having had 13 from 14 balls, and Samaru was 20 from 18.
Yes, well, at the same time, though, Brittany Cooper, she has not really used up too many deliveries. She has 13 from 14. And that's still a fairly good strike rate, especially in these matches. So she has really played the right supporting role. Brittany Cooper, of course, one of the more experienced players in the Trinidad lineup. Of course, Captain Anissa Mohammed. She's by far probably one of the more experienced players out there for Trinidad and Tobago. But Leeward bowls to Mohammed, and Mohammed gets a poor delivery and capitalizes. He swings it down to long leg, and it goes across the boundary line for four. So not a good follow-up delivery there for Leeward after picking up the wicket of Samaru. And that's not good out cricket there from the Leewards.
Definitely not. You'll want to keep it tight. You'll want to actually even a dot ball, ideally a wicket. And taking a wicket, giving it away, with Trinidad and Tobago just needing 25 runs from 34 balls, you have to keep it tight from here on in.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
If you can't pick up a wicket, you should be going for the dot balls.
Oh, there's a loud appeal by Leeward as Mohammed drives outside the off stump. But Leeward always strikes me as a very excitable person.
And what I've noticed, on the contrary, with the excitement and the appeal, there doesn't seem to be much appeal coming from the keeper, Parker. I don't recall seeing her really appeal.
Oh my goodness, this is a good one from Leeward. Beats Mohammed. And let's wait for the signal. Might have taken the edge and eluded the keeper. In fact, I'm not seeing any signal, so she seemed to have gotten an edge onto that one, Mohammed. But it's a good delivery pitch on about off stump, and seemed to have drifted slightly away from the right-handed Mohammed and taking the outer portion of the bat and going behind, eluding the keeper, and Mohammed picking up a run. But Leeward never fails to excite. She seems to be always in the game. And even when she's in the field, she seems to be one of those Leeward Island players who seems to be on her toes and always egging her players on. This is not a good delivery, though. It is wide of the off stump and signaled to by umpire Ramnarari. So, TNT inching closer, 98 for 4 now. And just another 23 runs in 31 deliveries.
And clearly hearing a no from Brittany Cooper. Bringing up the end of the over. Trinidad and Tobago, one can safely say, in the driving seat at this point. However, things can change with 1 or 2, maybe even 3 wickets. 98 for 4, needing 23 runs from 30 balls. You can't get wickets, you'll have to bowl dot balls. You can't be bowling wide to put the Trinidad and Tobago team under pressure. They have not really been under any pressure from this game, needing a runner ball just about from the starters. And the bowlers are not quite troubling the batters per se.
Well, Clark comes back from the media center end.
Right arm over.
And this is one of the things I was saying earlier on. It was very critical for the Leewards to try and get as much runs as possible. I think they might have left maybe a 10, 20 runs out there when they batted. And we know that their bowling attack is one of the weaker attacks in the tournament. And, you know, they certainly needed that cushion of that extra runs. But this is defended by Anissa Mohammed into the offside. And they can't score.
Brittany was taking off for that single. And perhaps she felt that she could have gotten to the bowler's end, the striker's end, before the throw.
His shot essayed there by Anissa Mohammed seemed to have played it long after the ball had gone into the keeper's hand. And delivery outside the off stump, keeping it slightly low. Clark bowls the full one, swung over backward square for 6. And that's a good shot. It was full, and it said hit me, and hit me did Mohammed, Anissa Mohammed, and swung it a long way over the backward square boundary for 6. And that, of course, really propels Trinidad and Tobago towards a total of 121. 104 for 4.
Bringing up the 100, 15.3 overs. This partnership only worth 12, of which Mohammed, she's been 11 from 6 balls. So taking the brunt of the batting, leading from the front as it were.
Full again. This time she's lucky to get away with it. It was played up to square leg. Claxton off the boundary. Fields just a single. But certainly another poor delivery there from Clark. Could have easily given away another boundary. 16 runs needed from 26 deliveries. This is better, but flicked away nicely. It could go close to the boundary. It does. Well, Clark is back, and the runs are really leaking here. As Cooper flicked that one back out of square for 4.
And there was Jazara Claxton running from forward of square, trying to get backward to cut it off. She ran her little heart out, but that wasn't enough to prevent the boundary. 109. A run rate required of 2.88, a mere 12 runs needed now in 25 balls.
11 runs in the over so far. That's Clark. She aborts a run in the middle of a bad spell here, being brought back into the attack. And perhaps if I was the captain, Willett, I might have persisted with a spinner. The spinner seems to be doing a lot better than the medium pacers. This one is right up in the black hole and driven up to mid-on by Cooper for a single. So countdown really on for Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago, if they win this one, they will collect another 4 points, and it will take them on to 8 points. And I don't think they, at the moment though, they would be one of the favorites to win this year's tournament. The maximum number of points they could get would be 12 points, and they do have to come up against Guyana, the ever-improving Guyana team, which has been doing quite well. In fact, they won quite easily here to the chasing down 109, just losing 2 wickets. The captain, Shemaine Campbell, getting 50 not out, and well supported by a vice-captain, Ganasby, who scored 37 not out. So it would be very difficult for TNT to get past Guyana. So you know, difficult to see them winning this tournament with just 4 points now and probably another 4 at the conclusion of this match. This one is played up to cover by Cooper. Claxton comes from off the boundary, just a single. And inching closer and closer.
There we go, ladies.
That 121 runs. So 110, just another 11 runs required, 110 for 4 TNT. Quick single. And fumble there by short mid-wicket. It's Claxton who is on, one of the emergency fields. Saxena, she's not out there. Saxena, of course, would have been able to give the Leewards a few overs of off spin. Seem to have been injured. Taken off the center stump by Cooper. The return goes to the keeper's end. Stumps are broken. The appeal goes up. Umpire Jonathan Blades shakes his head in the negative. And Leewards would have to try once more.
And the over rate of the Leewards perhaps not really as quick, Earl, as it maybe ought to have been. Because we're now about 5:25 and we're still in the 17th over.
Well, actually, they would have started about 4:10, which 4:25, which is just over an hour. 17 overs. Not too bad, but could have been better. Of course, Leewards, they have been a bit slow in changing over, a bit slow. In fact, on a number of occasions, we have seen them thrown the ball to one ball and then opted to make a change immediately. So all this would have bitten into the time.
And basically 2 overs in wides. That's the 12th wide.
Exactly. Exactly. So that in itself explains the situation. 2 overs in wides. Well, call it 19 overs then. So it's not that the over rate has been bad, it's just that the out cricket has been bad. Swung down to long leg. This should get to the boundary. Pursued there by Moses, but it beats her into the boundary. And just another 7 runs needed by Trinidad and Tobago. So it's virtually over by the shouting here for the Leeward Islands. And they're going down once more. They're going down this time to Trinidad and Tobago. 118 it is for 4. Another 3 runs required. And we have another 19 deliveries in which to get these runs. Nicely played up to backward point for a single by Mohammed. And Mohammed has quickly moved on to 18.
18 from 11 balls. Whitney Cooper 20 from 20 balls. And both batters being alert and now realizing the writing is on the wall. The fat lady is already at the podium ready to sing.
Ready? I think the fat lady has sung. I think it's just a question of the crowd calling for an encore. But Edwards would perform the final rites. I say perform the final rites. She's bowling from this end, and I'm almost certain that this is going to be the final over for this game. Now, let's see. They're making some adjustment to the field. And turned gently into the onside, but straight to short mid-wicket.
2 runs and eternity to get those 2 runs needed.
Well, he is one of those two. As it's turned down to short square.
The scores are now leveled.
Clark the fielder, of course. So, third delivery coming up. Will this be the match?
Cooper would want to steady a shield, want to come not out.
Well, it seems as though she was thinking in terms of finishing in a blaze of glory. She was looking to whip that one into the onside and was struck on the pads as all the fielders converge. They come inside the 25-yard circle, and that's it. Driven nicely down to long off by Cooper. She picks up a single. It's now 121 for 4. Trinidad and Tobago. And that's it. That's game, set, and match. As the Trinidad and Tobago, after restricting the Leeward Islands to 120 runs from their 20 overs, they chased that down with some, let's say, 14 deliveries to Spain, 14 deliveries, and certainly a good victory there for Trinidad and Tobago with Anissa Mohammed finishing on 19 not out and Brittany Cooper on 21.
Indeed, if you had to choose a player of the match, who might you be thinking of?
Well, it might be difficult. I'll have to go through the performances once more. Of course,
While you think, I'll perhaps go with Anissa Mohammed. 4 overs, no maiden, 21 runs, 2 wickets, and coming and taking her team to victory, 19 from 13 balls.
Well, certainly, because she would have performed well in both facets of the game. There was no real outstanding performance by any of the teams. And of course, as I said, Mohammed picked up 2 wickets and she scored 19 runs. But just to tell listeners that we have come to the end of match number 2. Leewards scoring 120 and from the 20 overs, and in response, Trinidad and Tobago 121 for 4 from 17.4 overs. So Trinidad and Tobago picking up the 4 points and moving to 8 points. And just some final words from you, Troy, and then we'll wrap up.
Lovely day of cricket, 120. Perhaps should have been defendable. It wasn't on this occasion. The Trinidad and Tobagans coming away with a nice win. The Leewards continue their streak of not winning a game. They have 1 game to play. And the match this evening, it's going to be still interesting. A lot of things can happen, and the outcome definitely tied to that. As we say farewell from Warner Park, on behalf of Norval McCall, Earl Smitten, I'm Troy Biff Mills. Thank you for listening, and we invite you to tune in again at 7 p.m. when Barbados will be taking on the Leeward Islands. Perhaps a semi-final game. Both teams jostling to get into good standings going into the last round of matches on Saturday. Thank you for joining us. Have a good afternoon.
Hey!